Game over.
And what is up? Welcome back. It's Friday night. You're here with the Average Boys Podcast. It's your boy Crispy, and I am here with my homie Jeremy. Jeremy, what is up, my dude?
What is going on, Chris? First of all, happy birthday. Happy birthday, my guy.
Yeah, boy. Just getting old, that's all, man. That's all I feel like. I'm just getting fucking old. But thank you very much. Yo, what's up, Robert? How you doing out there in Facebook land? Jeremy, tell us a little bit about yourself, and thank you for coming on the show. Before we go on, I just want to give a shout out, of course, Brian. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you for the happy birthday shout out. Thank you so much. Brian had a family emergency today. He just hit me up earlier before the show. Told me he wasn't going to be able to make it, so shout out to my boy Brian. Much love, good positive vibes. See you and the family. Hope everything's all right. Let us know what's up. I'll see you soon. Jeremy, let me know what's up. What's going on, man? Tell me. How's it going?
Well, everything's good, man. To be honest, a little bit about me, guys, just for the fact is, like, I've been reading comic books the last, 2 years, just real strong. Daniel Warren, my favorite artist, got me into comic books. I read Betty Ray Bill, his first comic, his little short comic. I loved it, and ever since then, I've been reading other comic books. Donny Cates got me hooked to other aspects, but, more or less, I love comics, love the characters, and then the fact is, I've been watching Marvel movies since the first X-Men came out. I always got the chance to see it. Around my birthday, all the X-Men movies came out around my birthday, so I got lucky enough to, my dad would take me, and I was just all flabbergasted just for the fact that the character's coming to life. But other than that, I'm an artist, as you can see right here. Mm-hmm. These are all my paintings, more or less. But other than that, man, I'm glad to be here. This is a dream come true. There you go.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mentioned. I mentioned when we were in art school at STC.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, we stayed pretty good. We stayed pretty good ever since then, which is awesome. So it's good to see you. It's good to have you on the show. I know I've talked to you about this before. You've been listening to the show with us for a good minute, and you've been an awesome supporter of the show, and I appreciate you. And then we get to meet up at cons, and we just have our own shows there too, where we just talk hours and hours about things. So knowing that you've been a comic book reader, what's been like your all-time favorite run, and what's been your like dream go-to of, hey, you know what? I hope this becomes a live action someday.
Honestly, I know you guys always been hated, but like Beta Ray Bill, I feel like he's been teased, in other Thor movies, like small little statues of his head. And I'm just like, man, it'd be really awesome to see his story come through. It was just the whole entire aspect of him just being a leader of his own planet. And, it didn't happen. Everything got blown up and he had to like survive on his own. And then to be found out that he's worthy, and then to be like Thor just blown away, like someone else is worthy enough to hold the hammer. But all of a sudden, of course, Thor's holding on to Stormbreaker, and that kind of got destroyed. And it's just the whole entire aspect of like, all right, well, maybe something might come happening, but even then, you'll see what happens. But maybe even see Donny Cates, come into the movie scene. He's a really good storyteller.
Yeah, most definitely.
His Thor runs be kind of like when we started off really great, but now it's kind of like a little lagging for me. I feel like it went a whole entire different direction to me. But of course,
he's been focusing more on what's he doing, the X-Men run right now. Or he's running on
he's doing Hulk. He's doing Hulk. He's still working with Thor and another comic book, Vanisher or something like that.
Yeah, Vanisher. So, I want to say he was on DC for a bit, wasn't he?
He was. I think he started off with DC and then he started with Marvel. He can't really jump into DC.
I want to say he's been the one that's been writing DC's Deceased.
That's Tom Taylor.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, I just heard about it the other day, and I could have sworn someone said, man, Donny Cates is doing such an amazing run with this. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I've always been one of those people that's like, I've read comic books since I was super young. I think my first comic book, I actually have like a copy, not a copy, but because someone asked me what was my first comic book that I ever read. So I went back and I actually like tried to look for it, and I could never find it. But I I ended up finding like a picture of the cover, and I'll tell you exactly which one it is. I knew, and I just saw it earlier. It was this one. I'm going to show you off of my Windows Chrome. Facebook? No? Window? Yeah, here we go. It's this one. This is my first ever comic book that I earned.
Dude, I remember we talked about it. It was one of the collector nights where I grabbed it and you're just like, oh snap! I can't believe you got this. This was one of my first very comic books. I was like, no way. I honestly didn't know.
That was literally so cool. My first comic book that I ever read when I was younger. That is so rad. And someone had asked me that a long time ago, and I was like, "Yeah, what was it?" And yeah, it was literally that one, and I remembered it. And the idea of the way that they made that comic book was so great. That was when I became a Wolverine fan. Not as much as a Wolverine fan as I was back in the day as a kid.
Okay.
I think it was just one of those things, like we always looked up to him because he was like the dude of dudes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he was kind of like our John Wayne growing up in the comic book world. I guess that's the easiest way to put it, right?
All those little catchy phrases like "what up, bub," like,
hey, bub, and all this stuff, short stack, and all this other stuff.
Exactly.
That's so hilarious. Okay, with you being a Beta Ray Bill fan, and you've seen little snippets of him and stuff like that, and seen how the movies have been going, were you a big fan of the Thor: Love and Thunder movie?
I very much was a hater. I'm not gonna lie. Matt, I remember Brian reading my comment where I was just like, I wanted to love it, but I didn't feel a thunderstrike or something like that. And I was just like, I know you had mentioned too, like the first, at least in the opening scene where he rides Stormbreaker. And I'm just like, this movie's going to trash. Like, my God.
Dude, I literally looked at all my friends next to me, and they looked at me and they were like, just give it a chance, dude. I was going to walk the fuck out so hard.
I went in with the best intentions. I was like, this movie's going to be great. I'm going to enjoy it. And as soon as opening scene, I'm just like, okay, cool. And then like everyone's energy is like just going off, clapping, like, oh my God, I can't believe this, and and I'm just like, what's happening? Am I in the right movie? Like, geez, like I just felt like this wasn't the Thor we knew. And I know we've talked about it where, top tier Thor was like Infinity War and Endgame. And that was just like his aspect of knowing that's who he is. Like we saw him from the first Thor movies where he was kind of childish, and like his dad was telling him, you want to be king, then you got to act this way. You got to be like knowing of not when to fight, work with everybody. But then like, as we saw that it was happening, we saw that in Infinity War and Endgame. And then we got this basically like really dumb high school kid, roided it out, and just like, I'm figuring it out on my own, as if like he's starting to be a god, or in this case, where of course I can't be like back and forth with the comic books because it's never going to reflect that. But of course we see like how he is in comic books to the movie scene itself. And it's just like, why are we getting this? Like, are you trying to tell me a story, or you're trying to tell a kid's story? And I don't know. I felt like this movie was kind of like a really like not a punch to the gut, and like to really just give the audience something like, finally, here's your Thor: Love and Thunder. And I know Taika Waititi, does really great movies, but this one was kind of just a letdown. I feel like he was just like trolling everyone, and he's even done on Twitter where he's like, I'm gonna make your god look like a joke, or mythology a joke, and I'm just like, this isn't gonna go well.
Yeah, it's really weird because I almost felt the same way with the Sam Raimi movie, the Doctor Strange movie, where I didn't think it was much of a joke, but it's just that I don't think a lot of these directors that are coming in right now are appreciating the gravitas of how big the Marvel Universe characters are.
Yeah.
Like that they're their own entities, where it's like, if you were going to make a Mickey Mouse movie, yeah, it could be silly and all this stuff, but you're going to have to do it. Like even like in the Chippendales movie, the Chippendales Rescue Rangers,
yeah,
like it had such a weird niche that it still had to have its heartfelt moments to give the characters respect. Right? Like you're not just going to make it just a complete joke. Because if you make it a complete joke, the fan base is going to be like, you're not respecting like all the history of this character. Like we celebrate these things' birthdays, and they're not even real people.
It's crazy.
Like Captain America is like 76 this year, like in birthday Marvel creation years, and people know that shit. Like people know his birthday, and it's one of those things. Like if you're just going to make it a joke, like why bring someone like that in to ruin your franchise?
Yeah, I mean, especially with now that we have like social media where everyone's like on the characters or on like the people who are making the movies. Like I know for sure Zack Snyder gets a lot of hate,
Oh yeah.
Everyone jumps on them. The Snyder fan base is just like, okay, well, now that the Batgirl got canceled, everyone's now trying to rally to get that released, and it's like going back and forth. Like, where was this when this happened? But at the same time, we're getting that backlash.
I think people don't understand that was like a one and done deal, like in cinema history.
Yeah,
like there's probably a bunch of like what movie? Okay, interesting question because that's an interesting subject. If you had an opportunity to get a Snyder style cut of any movie that you would ever wanted to see, what movie would it have been?
I think it would probably be between 300 and Watchmen, to be honest.
Okay, cool.
I
Like
think
just a real big like film.
Yeah,
just as much material.
Exactly. Like I feel like Watchmen could have gone a lot deeper, but like from what we got was actually a pretty solid story. And 300 too. I'm all about the history, mythology, Greek gods, so on and so forth. I find it so interesting, and the fact that that movie was kind of like not revolutionary, but completely different than other movies we had got before, where you had Troy, the Gladiator, other movies had to do with that prospect of knowing that this time period. But this one was just more darker in that sense, and King Leonidas, the Muslims or whoever it was. I can't remember the exact, but yeah, there you go. The Persians, where it's just the back and forth of who's going to take whoever who. But this was just a solid 300 group going against like millions of soldiers. But like, I think that would be a good dive into like seeing a Snyder Cut movie like that.
Yeah, because it's like one of those things. Like, of course, there was a pretty horrible situation that happened to Zack Snyder. Daughter committed suicide. He stepped away from the project. They were on the cusp of finishing the entire film, but they weren't able to, and they brought in a director who was, of course, working with Marvel at the time, had done some really great films. He came in and tried to work with what he had, but he's not a visionary in the sense of how Snyder is, right?
Yeah.
So he tried to piece together as much as he could. He changed the tone, and he gave us what we gave us, and it wasn't all that bad. Like, I can sometimes still just sit down and watch that movie.
To me, when I see that movie, it's more of like I have nothing to do with my day, and I kind of want to laugh because there's some scenes where I'm just laughing. Like I remember when I saw Justice League in the theaters, I was laughing. I was just seeing like the whole entire like that scene where Superman comes back to life and then
beats the shit out of everybody.
Starts
like, killing everybody.
Like, I can't believe this is happening. Like he's gonna hit me and I'm just dodging. Like he can't complete what's happening. I'm just laughing the whole entire time. Like this is not stupid, but this is kind of funny just for the fact that his facial expressions are kind of giving it all away, and that's who he is as a character. But
it had that kind of like Marvel-esque.
It did
wannabe comedy to it, which I guess at the time it was a big surprise because we weren't expecting that from a DC film. But then when we got the pace of what Zack Snyder gave us, we realized like, oh man, it was supposed to be way different.
Yeah,
just way different.
I'm glad we got it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm all about it. I can watch the movie. I'm just like, all right, at least I know I can pause it because this is the end of this chapter. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I've already seen this before. I can at least jump into the next one because I want to see is probably like chapter 3 and 4. Like those are the ones I feel like that's where the jumping point where actually everything happens.
Just the ending parts.
I feel like the first Justice League movie was kind of like what we saw. Like I feel like that was basically the whole movie, chapters 1 and 2, and then chapters 3 and 4 what we were missing, and that's what basically kind of just dragged me to the whole entire story of this is awesome. Like we should be getting this. We should be getting more of this. And like I'm sorry we didn't get New Gods, but like this movie was something that we have not had in a very long time, much less in the DC realm.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially with what's in the DC realm right now. Geez. That's a really interesting question though, man, because I really never thought about if I had the opportunity to see a film get insanely released with all the background stuff. You know what? It would probably be the first Blade movie.
Okay.
Or even like Hellboy, the first one.
I think that would be a really awesome story to see. I mean, like the Blade one. I think the Blade one would be probably.
Yeah. I mean, Wesley Snipes, I feel like did such a phenomenal job on creating the style and the attitude of what Blade was.
And then that's what saved Marvel in the first
Marvel
place.
universe, yeah.
Yeah, that's what saved it. And that's because like if I can look for it and I can watch it, I'm gonna watch it because that was like a good like vampire movie to begin with in the first place. Like that was like insane before like we had these other movies later on in life where we have vampires were the thing, but Blade was the first thing that we saw where it's just like, damn, this is really intense. This is pretty cool.
Our boy Sal.
Yeah, like just the first scene itself where he's just in the club and then all the blood's just raining
down.
All
the blood and all the stuff. Yeah, dude, it's so good. I was just watching, I forgot what it was, but it was just a part that reminded me of like how like Wesley Snipes. Wesley, I can't even say his name right now. Wesley Snipes played double the character because he played the cool stoic, like hardcore Blade, and then in the background he was still like a black man in the hood, because he's in that scene when they're in the hospital and he's attacking the dude and then the cop shoots him and he's like, motherfucker, are you out of your mind? And I was like in my mind, I was like, wait, what, dude? Dude, he just went hood on him like super fast. And in my mind I was like, yo, I'm about that. Like, I'm about that part where like there's a part of Blade where like he'll go straight fucking Boys in the Hood on you like so fast and with no shame, but like then he just automatically pumps up this like Punisher-esque theme on how he walks around like the Terminator.
Yeah,
like it's good. It's fucking good.
It's so awesome.
Super good.
I honestly wish like we got like, I know we got the three, we got the trinity of the movies, but like part 2, it wasn't bad, but it could have been better. And then we got Ryan Reynolds in the mix, and Wesley Snipes wasn't even a fan of Ryan at the time. He
thought it was stupid or something, right?
And he was just like, even then, like I think at the point of part 3, I think Wesley Snipes was like, I'm better than all this. I don't have to do this. And like, even when it comes to like, I know one of the scenes where his eyes are closed and George is like, can you open your eyes? He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. He just laid there with his eyes closed and they had to CGI his eyes to open up. And I was just like, so that's how bad of a person you were already at the end of, your Blade run. But
oh shit, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so that was an intense thing, and I'm just like, all right, whatever. But like this whole entire aspect of the movie itself was just awesome. I mean, at the end of part 1, where he's talking in Russian, I'm like, oh, this is gonna go on.
Yeah, it's gonna get intense.
So I was just like, this is so sick. I can't believe it.
See, and that's because I was a really big fan of the second movie's villain.
Yeah,
I think the way that that guy acted and handled like all the action sequences, like that dude's a G, man. Like he played such a badass like action villain, and he went on to make other movies. I know he played Steve in the movie Tekken, the recent movie Tekken. Yeah, he's still making movies, and they're like B-roll action movies. The ones you find in the $5 bin at Walmart kind of thing. But I mean, he's still in it, and he did a phenomenal job with that one. Blade 2, I think the introduction to a vampire hybrid that can eat vampires and change them. And then also can, of course, eat human beings and change them too. But I think it was pretty cool. I think it was pretty good. I think that what Donnie Yen, I was pissed off with Donnie Yen's part. Like they only used him for like fucking 5 minutes. But we're gonna get John Wick soon, and he's gonna be in John Wick, and they're gonna bring him back, and he's gonna do good. I know he's gonna do good.
That's gonna be such a like. I always love the Ip Man movies, man. I think that was
so
dude,
fuck
I
yeah.
was just like,
Donnie Yen's a G, dude. Like he is so good at his movies, man. He's so good at the wire food work. Sal Seguda, good friend of ours from the show, also asks and says, "What about Frank Miller's Nemesis? That is an interesting comic book run." Because if I'm not mistaken, you're going to have to tell me, Sal, is that the one where it's a Batman-esque guy who has a psychological disorder and he's also the Joker? Like he wears like a white costume and like the cover is like him with like the blood across his mouth. Like, I don't know. It's a really, really interesting. That one's really good. It's like he's his own villain, but their Gordon is like the Bruce Wayne Batman. Like he's the one that's trying to stop Nemesis. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's everything that DC wish they could have written. That's what I think it is. But yeah, straight up, dude. Like that's a good story. But yeah, man, dude, fucking 300 would have been amazing to get like a badass Snyder cut. And that's the thing. Like that was like Snyder in his prime, I think. I think we're in for it when it comes to this new movie that he's making. The one that's
Rebel
supposed
Moon?
to be, which one?
Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon. I think we're in for it, man. I think yeah, you see, it's everything Batman with a Joker mentality.
Gotcha.
Which is just the Batman who laughs now. Which is, yeah, DC just had to steal some shit. But I think we're in for it. So my biggest concern with Zack Snyder back in the day was that he was, thanks, David. Thanks, everybody out there that's giving me birthday shout outs. I appreciate you all. Stay on the stream with us, hang out with us for a bit. Have a couple drinks, kick some back. That's what I'm doing. I'm having some Mike's Hard Lemonade. Yeah, just hanging. I used to be very worried about Zack Snyder's writing. The cinematography and his directing skills, phenomenal.
Yeah.
But him creating a story, it was kind of wonky for me all the time. Which was when we saw the Watchmen come to fruition. They ended up making it to where instead of them sending a giant alien that then got people realizing that like an alien attack happened to the United States and then having a big explosion happening at the end. And then him switching it to where it was just Dr. Manhattan. They just made Dr. Manhattan a villain, right?
Yeah.
So my biggest thing is they should have just kept it as is, right? They should have just gone with what they originally had. That would have worked better. But I think that was a move by the higher ups because they wanted to move the Watchmen into the DC universe, which are the comic books that just recently came out a couple of years ago, maybe like 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because in that one, it's the same thing. Dr. Manhattan just takes off to another multiverse, makes Superman land farther away, hides the original Green Lantern, and does a bunch of crazy shit. I think he even hides like not Wally West, but Jay Garrett.
Okay.
Right? Doomsday Clock, right? And I think they did it with the purpose of doing that story. That DC had it like in the brick laywork that they were like, hey man, we're gonna do this. So let's just go ahead and put it here in the movie. We'll make it Dr. Manhattan. This will give Dr. Manhattan a purpose to just be like, well, bitches, I'm out. I don't want to be on this planet no more. I'm gonna go to Mars. Because in the other one, he just takes off after finding out that Ozymandias planned the whole thing. Once he kind of figures that out, he's like, you humans are weird. I'm out. And then he just leaves. So you're kind of like, dude, you could have like probably just fixed everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Maybe not bring everybody back to life, but you could have at least like, you know, fixed the fucking area.
Like the 10 miles worth of like a hole in the
he just done his little magic tricks and fixed everything or whatever. Yeah. But it did bring for a good comic. The Doomsday Clock was written pretty well. Knowing that he's part of the universe, I think it's a little weird because now we just have a new DC god in a way, but we'll see what happens with it. I think they used him horribly in the Dark Knight Metal series. I wasn't like a really big fan of the Dark Knight Metal. At first it was kind of an interesting tell, and then it ended up just turning into like a big like circle jerk of how Batman is like the greatest superhero with prep time or whatever people want to fucking say. That's all that was, dude. I fucking God, man, it fucking made me so mad all the time. But yeah, dude, for me, it would probably be the Blade movies that I would like to see some type of Snyder cut or some type of extended series. If not, probably the original Crow.
Ooh.
Or, like I'm thinking like because I'm a real big fan of Ender's Game.
Okay.
I like the movie Ender's Game, the new one that came out.
I haven't seen it.
It's really good. Ender's Game is like it's a good movie. It's a good movie. I recommend it. And if not, that's Starship Troopers. I always like Starship. It's like my drinking movie.
Starship Troopers is the shit. I love Starship Troopers. Yeah. But for sure, I mean, I would have. Okay, so I don't know if you ever heard that Jason Momoa was supposed to play the Crow. Like they were supposed to do like a reboot or reshoot or whatever it was kind of deal. And I was like, that's gonna be awesome, man. He looks like he can do like the role itself. I mean, he even posted a picture on Instagram, and I tried finding the picture all over again. But I think he just took it off, and I was just always stoked of like, I love the Crow. I think the first like Crow when it came out was just like, you know, a whole entire different aspect of a hero or anti-hero or just revenge itself. I mean, he's just trying to get back at the guys who killed.
Man, there was a lot of talks of how many people have been up for the role. There'd been like 50 Cent was up for it.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's all fucking probably Pete Davidson's probably been up for it. Like Eminem, like there's just been a bunch of people that have been called to be the Crow, and of course, like with the passing of Brandon Lee, that role has so much respect that I guarantee there's not like it's not like the way the Dragon movie was, the Bruce Lee the Dragon movie, where it's like there's a curse on the family, there's a curse. And I think everybody kind of realized like it was major fuck ups that turned into this amazing mythological urban legend on making these two men that were beyond themselves into like these superhero-esque people. He died in such a shit way because he got shot by a prop, and it was supposed to be not loaded and something got lost and he got shot by it in an accident. He still ran his scene, and then at the end he collapsed, so he's still like a soldier, just finished it out, and he didn't make it, which sucks. And I don't want to think that it's people believe there's like some kind of curse, but I think it's just out of respect. They don't want to do it wrong because they know like there's probably like a really big like just there's a lot that sits on it that you don't want to mess it up.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that'd be it. Guys in the comments, what would be your film? If you had the opportunity to pick one film that would get like a master Snyder cut where you get a full extension, what would be your film? Let us know in the comments section. Jeremy, I must ask, my dude, how are you going with this whole Warner Brother and Discovery thing going on?
Dude, honestly, I feel like it's just complete trash. I feel like it's complete trash. Like even when I see on Twitter, everyone's going hard on Twitter when it comes to Warner Brothers and Discovery. Everyone's been saying like, these last couple of years have been kind of trash. You guys have been announcing what we're gonna do, so on and so forth, and then this is getting canceled. The Flash might be getting canceled or shelved, and overall, we're trying to figure out how they're gonna do it. It's just like, guys, this is just complete mess. The fact that we're relying on Black Adam and Shazam to be something that's gonna help DC out of the dirt and kind of deal. I'm just kind of like, I don't know, like it's a big mess. I feel like they've already said this, we're taking on so and so to play the role as Kevin Feige, and I'm just like, tremendous. But why are we referencing to Marvel? You guys are trying to do your own thing and create something that's different than Marvel. You guys are the Marvel's the competition. Like, what are we doing? What are you guys doing to kind of change the aspect? You guys are the darker version of Marvel, but Marvel has been giving us its run for its money when it comes to it's kind of the horror stream, and it's going to happen eventually. They're going to do Blade. They're going to do what could be Dracula with Anthony Starr.
Yeah, with like the Midnight Suns.
Yeah, and I'm just like, it's going to happen. So like DC just needs to like really get it together, or Warner Brothers needs to get together as far as saying like, all right, we're going to give this person full control, and we're going to step back. Like we should have done the last like since the Justice League kind of deal, and I'm just hoping that's what happens. I mean, Warner Brothers has just always been like holding on the reins of like, we're gonna do this, but we're only giving you a certain amount of control.
Yeah,
but
there's always some kind of limitation, or they almost kind of like just throw money at this one thing, and they're like, here, make it happen.
Yeah,
Marvel did it. Here, we're gonna give you the same thing they got. Go, and then they just expect some shit to happen. Like, and it never fails. Like, they always end up failing completely at anything that they've been doing in the last couple of years.
Even when it comes to like even started like what was it, like the last thing that DC I did was probably like Green Lantern kind of deal. Green Lantern, and I don't know what other came out after that, but it was at the same time, it's just like no one cared for Green Lantern, and I'm just like that's where I want to get more introduced into understanding a little bit more in DC wise. I never read Green Lantern, but I mean, it's pretty awesome. You have a ring that shows whatever it is your imagination can come up with. I mean, that's pretty dope.
There's huge fan base for the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and the Green Lantern Corps is probably one of the most major, if not best, chess pieces DC uses whenever there's any type of like major arc or any type of, I mean, in Injustice, they're like a whole ass fucking arc of Injustice where like Batman gets a ring, Superman gets a ring, fucking Sinestro, like fucking Green Lantern, fucking Hal Jordan comes back to the yellow the yellow rings again. Like, it's wild as fuck. Like the anything on the Green Lantern's always been pretty solid, and they can't get it. They can't fucking lock it down. Like, that's an easy win, which is like Miss Marvel, that shit that they just did. They literally just fucking took her powers, changed them up to the Green Lanterns, and they ran with it, and they made it street level hero writing.
Yeah,
where like the character's not in space, the character's not dealing with some cosmic shit. She's just in New York, or no, she's in New Jersey, and then she's in Pakistan, and then she's back to New Jersey, and it was better than the Green Lantern movie that Taika Waititi was in with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
like, I don't know, it's just weird. I don't know, man. DC's just been getting shit on. Like, that's just all I know is they've been getting shit on.
And it's kind of this understanding too, like why is it like taking you guys this long? I mean, Marvel started in like a solid 2010 with movies itself, the last 10 years, like the Iron Man, and then they're like already here. We're already past Infinity War and Endgame, where that was like the big moments in history in Marvel and comic books, and now they're already doing, and like, they're gonna do Secret Wars and Invasion, and I'm just like, dude, ahead of its time already. And DC's like still trying to figure out Justice League, or like scrap Justice League, and then we're moving on to something else now. I'm like, you guys are insane. You guys had talked about Infinity Crisis. I saw that talked about including Infinity Crisis. I'm just like, why? Like,
Yeah, bro, get your shit together first before you
yeah,
want to bring all of these people together.
I'm like, we didn't even like get. We haven't gotten these characters first in the first place. How are you gonna just include like that movie or like that aspect of its story itself in already? Like, I'm just gonna throw a ball at you and hopefully you catch it. And I'm just like, this ain't it, man. This is not it.
For me, it's one of those things. Like, I just think a lot of the people that are the executives right now at Warner Brothers, like towards the ending of realizing that they were really far behind in the superhero genre, like they were just clamoring at anything, which is they didn't have any real good build up to the Justice League film, but they just threw it out there anyways. And they
Yeah.
were like, well, Marvel already has the Avengers. We should already have the Justice League. And it's like, but you could have built, man. You could have built. You don't have to go by their time period, which I understand now that they want to bring in this gentleman who is all about, hey, man, I know Kevin Feige personally. I follow him on Facebook, or I don't know what the fuck his thing is with Kevin Feige is, but like, he's like, yo, we're going to do a 10-year plan like Marvel. And it's like, hey, that's fantastic. But you don't have to be putting out movies at the same speed as DC, as Marvel either. Because right now, of course, we recently heard about the cancellation of Batgirl, which the big thing was everybody that had seen it was like, this is pretty bad.
Yeah.
This is pretty bad. So when this guy saw it, he probably looked around and was like, are you guys serious? Like cut it. We're not going to use this. It's garbage. And I'm guessing that the reason why the price was up so high, because I think it was like $90 million that they spent on the film.
$90 million. Yeah, it was.
I think it was because of the fact on how much like props and vehicles. Because someone told me that a lot of the money was being spent on like the Batmobile that she was using.
Okay.
And that it was being wrecked like over and over again. So they had to have several variations of like this car being built. And that's where a lot of like the rack up and a lot of stuff was like put down on the stunt material that they were like blowing up and destroying.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So like, go for it.
Go for it.
Well, you go ahead. You go. You're my guest. You're my
Yeah.
guest.
So, my bad. So, like, I did see like something. Someone had watched a test screening for the movie where it's like, it mentions, well, since it's not happening, I can just talk about it. Where it's basically, she shows up in like in a Halloween costume as dressed as Batman, but of course it's Batgirl. And then Keaton like runs into her because she's like, stopping a burglary from happening. And he's like, you don't have to do this. Like, I can do this. And she's like, I got this, kind of thing. And then that's how that Michael Keaton only has like certain scenes in the movie. He's not actually like an actual
He's
part
not like
of
a
the movie
mentor
himself.
or something.
Yeah, no, apparently that's not the case. He only did like 3 or 4 scenes where he's
My
just
camera
like,
messed up. I'm sorry.
no, you're good,
It's
you're
cool.
good.
No, keep going. My camera's messed up. It's
So
good.
there's only certain scenes he does with her, and then at the end, that's at the end of the movie, they like meet each other at top of a church or a building, and they just jump off of a guardrail and just like fly with each other, and that's how the movie ends. I'm just like, well, I guess that's the movie. I mean, like, I don't know how true that is, but I mean, I'm just gonna take it for what I saw. Of course, there's always other different opinions as far as like, okay, well, I saw this from the movie, so this happened instead, and I'm just like, all right, well, I'm just reading. I'm just gonna recite what you're saying, and hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully what we see from other people who have actually seen the movie can talk about it too. If it's not gonna happen, at least someone can actually say this is what happened in the actual movie. I mean, it's already been shelved. Why not just say like,
Yeah, why not?
Tweet, like a whole long thread of a tweet, like this is what happened in the movie, this and this and that, and all that, yada yada. Okay, this is how it ends. I'm like, terrific. All right, cool. So we're never gonna see the movie again. At least we know what happens in the movie. But at the same time, it's like we saw some pictures where it's just like, God, this is horrible. Like Michael Keaton looks like garbage. Like it looks funny. Like I think I saw someone compare his chest to Captain America's chest, the one where Rob Liefeld drew his chest like super like
Yeah,
huge.
the Elon Musk one.
Yeah, he drew
The Elon Musk chest turn.
Yeah.
It's
And
fucking
I was
weird
just
ass.
like, that looks exactly
Oh
like
no,
that.
that's horrible, dude. That's fucking horrible. I hadn't heard really anything about like how it was coming along in the sense of like how the Batgirl story was really going to be like, brought together. I've always assumed they were probably going to stick as close to the origin story of it being like Barbara Gordon, her donning on some kind of costume, trying to go out and save lives, and then later on Batman, like kind of like you said, kind of comes into her situation, tries to help her, he says no, or she says no, and they kind of like become buddies. He does a little digging and finds out it's Barbara Gordon, And you know, kind of like the way it always been. Where Barbara's, I think she's going after like some kind of like low statured mob guy that hurt her or something like that.
Yeah.
But like, of course, there was a lot of scrutiny already around the character on what was it, on her being a person of color, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean,
they're
that shouldn't
really
really
pushing on
matter.
this idea, which is like the same thing they did with the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
my
it's not
biggest
like
thing,
in the Batman, we got Jim Gordon was black, and like, why does that matter if she's black? You know, the black girl, black as Batgirl, like, you know, it doesn't matter.
like I get it. I mean, I get it. Like it just gives people the opportunity to do stuff, like
Yeah,
to get to become part of involvement. But to me, my biggest concern is like the same thing that was going on with something that happened a little while ago, like a couple of days ago, that I saw that there was people making posts about like, oh, now with Batgirl getting canceled, they're going to cancel this, they're going to cancel Black Superman, and they're going to cancel this and this and that. And I'm like, why do you all keep calling him Black Superman? Like, you guys don't know his name? Like,
Yeah.
do you not read his comic? Do you not respect that he's a character with a regular name, or does he just need to be called Black Superman? Because that's not even his real title. It's just Superman.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, my biggest concern is that DC just has not landed any of the original Trinity characters. They haven't gotten into anything in the sense of something that they could just, no foundation. Zero foundation on their original stuff. Like, get something right before you start messing around with it. It's not going to matter if you change a character's gender or race or anything like that. If you can't even land a fucking proper story, you know what I mean? Like, that's just been my biggest concern. Like, look at how it did. As a matter of fact, for a very, very long fucking time, I've been a fan of the Jane Foster Thor story.
Okay.
I thought it was good, and a lot of people fucking hated it because she was around the same time they did the Miles Morales story. They did the, not She-Hulk, but like more characters where they were swapping genders and races with characters and passing the mantles and all this other stuff. And it was so hard to break the mentality. And I don't want to say break because that sounds like I'm trying to force my will on someone. But it was so hard for people to be like, well, what other interesting shit were they doing with those characters to begin with? Like, what other stuff were they doing? Because they weren't. There was nothing that was going on with Thor at that time that was good. Thor would just show up, hit people with a hammer, and bounce out. Say some cool ass Guardian words, sound like a fantasy character, and leave. That's all he would do. Then what do? It's the same thing like Hail Hydra, Captain America. They throw a wrench in some shit that you don't feel comfortable with, and it ruffles feathers. It gets people talking. It gets people to acknowledge the existence of these characters that had been around for years.
Yeah.
But how do I defend that Jane Foster was a good story with what they just did in the movie Thor: Love and Thunder with her character? Like, how do I defend that now? Like, how do I defend it to people that Jane Foster's Thor is a really good story and she did fairly well in the comics, and then they do a live interpretation and she's a fucking joke? Like, she has cancer. She has stage 4 fucking cancer.
Yeah.
And they're still going, but like every time she says that, I have stage 4 cancer, but like, that's what Taika Waititi did to that character. Like, how, if they brought in, let me ask, like, you guys in the comment sections and everybody, we've seen Thor: Love and Thunder. If Marvel comes out and says Jane Foster's coming back, are you excited? Like, are you going to be excited for this fucking character? Like, is there anything that you feel that she sacrificed in Thor: Love and Thunder that justifies the idea of being like, fuck yeah, she's coming back, dude. I want her to get a redemption arc. I want her to get a redemption arc. That's what we call when a character's like Eddie Munson in fucking Stranger Things. Look at this cool gift I got for my birthday.
Ooh.
Isn't that cool?
Dude, that's dope. That's
cool. Gamer headset. Eddie Munson, redemption arc. The entire internet has been talking about this shit for weeks, that they're like, he has to come back. He has to come back. The reason why they want him to come back is because you are taken by this character who feels that it's a tragedy. It's a tragic story. He's the hero, but the city believes him to be a villain. and you want him to become the hero that he's supposed to be. But that's what makes good storytelling, is that he's not going to get it. It's poetic. He's still the hero. Only people that deserve to know that he's a hero, which is the audience and the kids and his uncle. Those are the only people that know, because deep down inside, they always believed in him. And now the audience believes in it. And now they want him to come back and be president of Hawkins or whatever. And it's like, dude, if they did that, it would just cheapen the story if he got what he wanted. What would have been cool is, I told people this. They did the Lollapalooza video, right? Where the actor went to go meet Metallica in real life.
Yeah.
Right? That was a great fucking video. Awesome. But I wanted him to come out on stage as Eddie Munson. Like, just to come out and play Master of Puppets for one song. I think the internet would have gone fucking stupid for that, because it gives you some kind of finale. It gives you like that idea that deep down inside, Eddie Munson got his heaven or his paradise or whatever. Yeah. And then even bring out the chick that played Chrissy and have her run around on stage in a cheerleader outfit just to cheer him on, or they leave together, which is what they did in the Broadway show Wicked, right? In the original story, it's a story of the Green Witch. Right? Yeah. Yeah, we're going to do interactivity. Sorry about that, Darius. I was just in mid-conversation. In the story of Wicked Broadway musical, Elphaba, which is the Green Witch, she's going to, it's like Harry Potter. She's actually not a bad person at all. But at the end of the story, she actually had a love interest with the Scarecrow, who was the prince of his area. And someone makes him into straw, right? And at the very end, you're kind of like, wow, they really fucked their life up. And she fakes her death in the Wizard of Oz movie or whatever, on how it goes. And at the end, she comes out of a trap door, and the Scarecrow guy pulls her out, and both of them hug, and they leave the stage. So it gives you this idea that at the very end of the Wizard of Oz story being built on, that the Scarecrow and Elphaba get their love story and they just leave. Kind of like the idea of this, where Chrissy in some way would come back, and her and Eddie Munson would be happy. That's that redemption arc. There's no redemption arc for anything Marvel's putting out. The only thing redemption arc anybody's probably asking for right now in Marvel is for Tony Stark to come back. That's it, because he was given the most heart. Right? So sorry about that, Darius. Let me go back a little bit. Let me catch what you were saying. That's an actual adult bedroom. Who's mine or Jeremy's? Jeremy's got his own personal art in the back, man. Give him some love. He's got the, what's the one on the top right behind you? Is that like, what's the thing screaming? Is that from Rick and Morty?
Oh, no. It's my own interpretation of like food coming to life. So as you're eating it, it's actually like, alive in the first place.
Jeremy,
so
that's horrible.
Its skin, it's ripped off and it's just screaming like
that's horrible. Batman are boring. In the comic books, they've recently been not very good at all. How many parents you gonna lose, etc. Oh, dude, that's hardcore. He's talking about like how many times your parents gotta die. Like Batman, like, because his parents always fucking die. God, so dude, that's funny. My gosh. I suppose that's why he likes Catwoman, because she's got 9 lives, maybe, or she's very pretty. She's very pretty. Okay, here we go. Darius's comment was, race swapping is fine by me, unless the race is crucial to their identity. Like, you can't be having Shaft as an Eskimo. God, that's such a good comment. That is such a good comment.
That's a pretty good one.
Fucking Shaft as an Eskimo. God, okay, that's pretty funny. And then he says, there is a legitimate argument against Marvel with some of the stuff that girl power scene in Avengers was just service. Yeah, that's for sure. We do know that they're eventually going to do an A-Force team, which is like a full female cast, which if you've seen Love and Thunder, the daughter's reflection is actually a character that's in A-Force.
Okay.
Like, she's an actual character. So that's why a lot of people are saying that it's Love, but her name is Singularity. If you guys look her up in the comic books, she was literally prevalent in Secret Wars. Like, she just almost like had made her like introduction in the Secret Wars comic. The Doom one, the Battle World one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so yeah, it it's an interesting character. There will be that time, but dude, if you look at it right now, like the entire roster of Marvel is almost all females.
which is, I mean, I don't know what to say to that because it's the fact that it's a whole entire. I mean, I haven't read a lot of the stuff I've seen. Like, I've read like the stuff I feel like it's an intriguing story, and I'm just like, all this new stuff. I'm hoping it comes out actually legit. They're actually making a story out of it, and they're actually making the character worth like watching and going back to watch in the first place. So I hope they do justice with She-Hulk. I know that should be an interesting story. We're gonna get it not too long from now. What is it, like next month already? I believe. And I'm just like hoping, like, hopefully this is not just another joke, where this is actually like, a story that's being worth told in the first place. Of course, we're getting to get Bruce, and then apparently we're getting some other character that's supposed to be like cameo inside of it. I keep forgetting who it was, but it's supposed to be a major character. It's supposed to cameo. I'm just like, awesome. So I think it's supposed to be, Daredevil. Of course, I hadn't left that out. That's a big one. So hopefully that jumps into a whole entire dynamic of other characters too. Like, hopefully they do something that's actually worth us watching, and not just like whole entire formula of like, same superhero over and over again. Like, even though we got the introduction of everyone, but like now we have other stories to be told.
What do you think is next for the chopping block of DC? Like, we know that they chopped Batgirl.
Yeah.
And I think they probably got rid of some other shit too. I just don't even know. It's probably not even out yet.
I mean, hopefully, because I've enjoyed the Titans. From what I've seen, Titans might be on the chopping block. Doom Patrol might be on the chopping block, and those two shows, like I've actually enjoyed. Like, even though like I haven't read the material, I don't I don't expect myself to be reading it. But at the same time, like, I'm just enjoying what's being given to me. I love the dark side of Robin, and like from the first season, he's like, "Fuck Batman." I'm just like, dude, that's awesome. Like, my God, like, and that's reflected in each season. And hopefully that doesn't happen. I mean, I feel like they've done a really good job, and that's how they wanted to introduce. There was this thing where they wanted to cross over Titans with the Arrowverse or like the Flashverse or whatever it was. And I'm like, that would have been, kind of cool to see what they would have done with it. But I'm cool with it just being just Titans themselves, and Doom Patrol as well. I think it's kind of just been an entertaining show to be watching and seeing what their adventures are. It's basically like the Umbrella Academy to me, which is pretty dope.
Yeah, it's from what I've heard, it's a lot more serious. It takes the Teen Titans. Of course, they still have their, the fun aspect of them being Teen Titans and stuff, but it's very much more, like a CW show, like the way they do like the Supernatural.
Yeah.
The way they do, it's a little bit like of a darker tone with a little bit of comedy. Kind of goes hand in hand with what DC's created in the past, kind of like Lucifer.
Yeah,
kind of like a Lucifer kind of vibe, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it would have been cool. I mean, if they did some type of crossover, it probably would have been during like the Flash crossover of Infinity or Crisis or whatever.
The last one where was it Oliver dies, I think.
Yeah,
he becomes like the all-knowing kind of deal.
It becomes the Spectre, I think.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it becomes the Spectre. Interesting shit, dude. But it's their own interpretation of what the comic books had been before. But yeah, recently I know that they cut Gotham Knights.
That too.
Which was this fucking shit show of an idea.
Is it really going to get canceled? Because I've been seeing it's back and forth. They're like, they haven't said exactly legit. I don't know. I saw I saw it on Twitter when it first came out, and I was like, this is hot garbage, bro. Like,
yeah, it's fucking happening? What are they doing, man?
Is this like supposed to be like Riverdale kind of feel to it? I'm just like, bro, no one's not gonna watch this, dude. Like, this is not fun. Like, I don't think this is not gonna be fun at all. Even though
Darius actually put, except for that one crazy show I think you showed where he's like banging the Joker's daughter. Yeah, dude, the characters that they chose for this are like, first off, in any situation, in any idea, would anybody here, even in the comment sections or between Jeremy and I, would you ever believe that Batman, Bruce Wayne, would associate his own life with having a son who is like straight, like fucking piece of shit rich kid that was just spoiled out of his mind? Do you think he would just want that in his life, and then him still go around and be Batman at night?
Yeah.
He would be like, dude, you go to your room before I beat your fucking ass.
I mean, we saw like Damian, like in the animated movies where he's just like, Ra's al Ghul's grandson. He comes to see his dad. He's like, hey father, how's it going? And we get this aspect of this, like, I do whatever I want. And like, oh, did you know your dad's Bruce Wayne as Batman? He's like, what kind of deal? And then he gets like kind of pushed around. He's like, you know who my dad is? And I'm like, oh my God, dude, come on.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those like I'm a rich white kid moment. Look at my privilege. Look at my privilege as I wear my privilege.
I know, right?
And then they started introducing all these other weird ass characters. That was like, one of them was claiming to be the Joker's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
which isn't far-fetched in the comics, because there is a girl named, but her last name's Dent though. Like it's Harvey Dent's daughter.
Okay.
But the idea is like that she suffers from split personalities, like her father does, right? She has like a mental problem, but she's like split. And every character that is in her brain is like the child of one of the rogue gallery. So
Okay.
like one day she's like the Penguin's daughter. The next day she's like Harley Quinn's daughter. The next day she's like the Joker's daughter. But she's never Harvey Dent's daughter. Like she's never herself. She's just like, oh fuck that guy. He's a piece of trash.
Like, yeah, really. Why do I want to be associated with him? Like kind of deal.
So, but like in the, I don't know, man. It to me, it's like you said. It was like a Riverdale show. It's like a cash grab.
Yeah.
Like a cash grab with them being like, well, we have this IP. What haven't they done with it? Well, Batman's never been a priest and he's never, molested a fucking altar boy. Let's run with that. Fuck it. Let's go with that. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense. I'm not saying that there's a bunch of great stories with Batman, but there's so much that, you know what I miss? I miss the golden age of comic books. Like I miss like the Justice League Unlimited, Justice League cartoon, the animated series, Batman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The one that's a little like where he kind of like talks corny.
Yeah.
Like there is a part of me that misses that. And I know that there's a lot of people that are like, nah, new times, new heroes. Like we need this like gritty kind of like things. And I tell people all the time, like right now we're about to reach a certain time in our lives where we need like the original Superman. Like we need the good Boy Scout, the one that doesn't falter. I think the one that always like hits me really hard is in the new show Lois and Clark. There's a scene where like a car is like gonna hit a kid, and he like flies in and he grabs the car and he puts it down like the old school poster.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I remember seeing
and
that.
And the kid was like, "Your costume is super cool," and he's like, "Thanks, my mom made it." And then he just flies off, and I'm like, that was perfect. For a TV show to do that more than what the movies can do, that goes to show that a lot of people that are making these movies have no heart when it comes to writing these stories. Like it's almost like there's no more like there's no hope. I think the DC universe, the problem with it is there's no hope. Like, and that's what Superman stands for.
Yeah, and I feel like that as more as like I'm a Batman fan. I've never read the comics, but I always loved the movies. And I'm just like Batman's like the partner to Superman, but Superman's like the statue of like what DC is, and like that's the character who we always associate. I mean, the death of Superman was a big thing, and now we're celebrating like the 30th anniversary of the death of Superman. They just did it again, kind of deal. And it's like Superman is in what we want the character to be in throughout, and like even though like Injustice showed the whole entire aspect of like he killed Lois and then the world gone to shit, but like even then like they fall back on hope. Like I found Lois, even though she was from a different universe, but we're going together to go on be with each other.
Oh yeah, the Injustice animated film, right?
Yes.
That was very heart-wrenching when she came out and she's like, I know you're not my Clark, and he's like, you're not my Lois, but I understand. Yeah, like there was that whole heartfelt feeling, and I feel like we've allowed ourselves to perverse the comic book scene, and it's taken away what a lot of like society has needed when it comes to superhero films. Like we need like those Achilles stories, we need those Hercules stories, where even though it's like the original stories of Hercules is fucking crazy as fuck, Disney went off and turned it into like this beautiful story where you can make him a hero and kids will wear his shirt and they'll run around the backyard and be like, I'm Hercules. Like, Can you imagine if you had a son and he was out there hanging out in the backyard yelling that he's Soldier Boy or he's you know what I mean? Like you don't get that. You don't get that anymore with this shit. And I know it sounds fucking funny, but like, can you imagine? Like that's what people are scratching at for their heroes right now. They're scratching at the Billy Butchers. Like, you don't know how many kids you're gonna see dressed as like Billy Butcher or like all this stuff for Halloween, man. You're gonna see some fucking Homelanders all over the place. Some little racist shits, dude.
Yeah, you start hearing like, "Oi, cunt!" Like you're like, "Oh, okay."
Oi, you got any candy, you can't. Oi. Yeah, it's gonna be fucking wild, man. I mean, for me, it's one of those things, and that's where me and Brian, we always have our like biggest argument where I'm telling him, I'm like, we need to go back to having just like a good old fashioned, not dark, not messed up in the head Superman. And he's like, nah, man, I'm not about that. If I want that, I'll go back and watch Christopher Reeves movies or whatever. Like that was that Superman. And I'm like, but that's the problem. Like that Superman is necessary. That's like Captain America. Like you have a great Captain America, right? Darius just brought this up. I think he put the big issue I always had with the Endgame was how much cooler it would have been if they had made Captain America a weed again, and then he faces off against the aliens. If they made him a weed again, what do you mean a weed again? You're gonna be. I think you're gonna have to rephrase that. But
like a lead-in, like instead of it being Tony, kind of do it like the lead and the whole entire.
Oh, maybe a lead. Yeah, maybe like the lead, right? In Endgame, how much cooler it would have been if they had made Captain America a lead again, and then him face off. But then that was the thing, like that was that beautiful scene when his fucking shield is broken, his arm is all messed up because he took that big ass hit from the Thanos axe. And he's there. He was a weed, and then he got steroided up, right? Oh, I get you. They made him weak again. Yeah, they made him weak. Like if they depowered him, and made it to where he wasn't. Well, that's what I feel like that scene was, where Thanos hits him. He's pretty much the only one standing on the battlefield. Thanos's army is coming behind him, and he straps the belt on, and he's like, well, if this is my time, this is my time, but I'm going to go down swing. Like you felt it. Yeah. Like you felt it. And that's why I think when you have like weird jokes of like, yeah, that's America's ass and all that stuff from the character, like you laugh a little bit more because they've written that character to feel like a grandpa. Like they've made him feel like he's literally a part of that time period. Imagine how much better that scene hits if Thanos turned him back. Like, yeah, just to make him like if like he had found a way to depower him and make him skinny.
I mean, he could have just used like the reality stone of like
and just take everything from him and just leave him as just a man, and he would have still like strapped on his boots and been like, all right, let's go.
Yeah,
it would have been good. It would have. I mean, I feel like they hit that scene pretty well, but that's a really good way to say it. Is that it's missing the heart of the hero. It's missing the heart of the hero. That's what I feel that DC needs to make sure that they get. They need to have a heart in the foundation of this body they're going to do. Darius said it earlier too in the comments that he's like, they need a 10-year plan like the way Marvel did, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think it needs to be 10 years. I don't think they need to put a cap on it. I think they just need to do it right.
Yeah.
They just need to do it right. No matter how long it takes. It could take a shorter amount of time. It could take a longer amount of time. They just need to do it right. Like that's my biggest concern. The thing is like there's so many people right now that are up in arms about the Batgirl and us talking about who's getting chopped and whatnot. There's people that are angry that Batman 2 has been put on hold, and they're fucking freaking out. And I'm like, you guys know, like Batman 2 just came out like a couple of months ago. This isn't like it's been there on the shelf for 4 years.
Yeah.
If you go and look at Christian Bale's Batman movies, look at the gap between each film.
Like 2 years, I think, right?
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 years. It's like almost 4 years, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But these people are complaining because we don't have a green light for them to film the Batman Part 2, like right now. And I'm like, hey, dude, like, chill. The movie just came out on stream. Watch it if you like it. I only saw it once because I can't handle it because the movie's it's fucking crazy to watch. Not in the sense that it's good. It's just that it's just stretched out. But I know I was telling Brian this last week on the show. There is a person that went off and re-edited the Obi-Wan show and I think the Batman film, and they chopped it down and made it better. And all they did was just shorten scenes and make it fit. Mm-hmm. And it's like, fuck, I'd watch the shit out of that movie, man. Fuck yeah, dude. Like, that was the fucking thing about the Batman movie. It just stretched out so long. And then, like Darius mentioned earlier, like, the Batman has been so overdone that we don't really necessarily need an origin story. What Warner Brothers and DC needs to do is get an actor that they can actually hold on to, like, to literally make him I don't give a fuck who they get. Like, just to be like, all right, I'm going to be Batman, guys. Like, I'm not going nowhere. Fucking Michael Keaton is still here doing Batman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, give the guy a contract for fucking 10 years. I don't give a fuck anymore. But like, just give us something definitive. Like, start us off in the middle, then that's fine. When they made the original Batman, like, they gave us an origin story, but for the Joker more than a Batman. It literally was the Tim Burton original Batman was literally like year one Batman. It was literally this one, the Batman, but just done a million times better in such a weird way. Like fucking Tim Burton, fucking Nightmare Before Christmas way, and it was still better.
Yeah, for sure.
Like for me, it's one of those things. Like the Robert Pattinson. Okay, first off, is Robert Pattinson going to stay?
I feel like he's gonna be done like maybe after the second movie. I don't see him long term. I see him short term. Like even when the Batman was shooting, it didn't sound like he was real serious. Like I think during an interview, he was like, "How much did you work out?" Like, didn't really work out. You know, I kind of ate just whatever, and you know, I did some push-ups and this and that. And I don't know if he was trolling, you know, because he's been known to troll. So I'm just like, well, you know, I'd rather have someone who's like committed to doing this role because Batman's like, you know, part of this. Even though it's not related to the DC EU, whatever it is that they're calling it, you know, it's still a character itself that should be held to the highest standards when it comes to someone who's holding the crown.
Yeah. You know what? I think Darius felt it too. I think a really good movie that they should go with is a Michael Keaton Batman Return movie. He comes out, he's older, he's elder, and he has to find someone to kind of pick up the mantle. I mean, for fuck's sakes, they could literally do it to where it's like Michael Keaton Batman is still around. He still goes. I mean, dude, they were gonna make him get in a costume and do some shit. He did the Vulture for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
I mean, they got him fighting fucking Spider-Man, like flying through the air, and they're gonna make him not be able to do some like standing still karate kung fu shit. Like, come on, man. They can make him look good.
Yeah, I mean, even like they even did. I mean, they kind of did something like that with what was it? With Batwoman or what is that? Where Kevin Conroy came back.
Kevin Conroy came out,
he's
just a fucking voice actor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. They gave him a whole ass suit and they let him use his own fucking body. Like, that's cool as shit. That's like a fucking dream come true for voice actors. Like for me to be like, hey man, I know you've been voice acting Goku for fucking 20 years. But it'd be really cool if you came out as Goku in the live action, though. You would be like, please, yes. Like, please, yes. That's all I want to do in life. Like, to have Michael Keaton come back, reprise his role as the Batman from the original films.
Yeah.
But this is him, like, Batman, you know, not year one, but the Dark Knight Returns Batman. Like, him very old, weathered. You don't have to have him fight a Batman. You could have him fight the leader of the mutants or whatever the fuck those things are called.
Yeah. Instead
of having the little redhead girl Carrie.
Yeah.
I forgot her name. It's something Carrie something. Instead of having her come out, just change her to Damian and have it be where he gets his son. He never knew he had her or him. He has this kind of weird love-hate relationship with Talia al Ghul. The League of Shadows hates his guts, but since he's the father of Damian, they respect him in some manner. Even make it to where fucking Bruce ends up being the new fucking leader of the League of Shadows because Ra's al Ghul retires and dies. He goes to live with Talia al Ghul, but Damian then becomes the new Batman. And boom, whoever the fucking 12-year-old, 13-year-old kid you picked, fucking the kid from Gotham or whatever, I don't give a shit. Like, just have it to where you give it to someone who loves what they do.
Yeah.
Loves the role and understands it and says, hey, I'm in this for the long run. DC's got a 10-year plan. Well, I'm in it for fucking 20.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in it. So I'm about it. Like, you don't want to keep getting these fucking actors that are like, they're in their 50s. And they're like, yeah, I got like 1 or 2 movies in me and I'm pretty much done. Like, fuck that noise, dude. Get them young and get them in. Bring in the old guys to do the older roles. They already got that shit planned out. My biggest concern, like I said, is they have so many fucking iterations of the Batman film. They don't know which one to take forward. They don't know which franchise. Dude, they're fucking still pushing that fucking Joker movie. Like Joker 2. Are you fucking kidding me? And then they're like, hey, you know what'd be really cool? Let's make it a musical and let's bring in Lady Gaga. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you all doing over there?
gosh.
Like, man, I don't know. How do you feel about that one? I haven't even asked you about that one.
I mean, I know you have mentioned it. You have mentioned it. I think the last podcast
Last
where
show.
it's just like it's gonna be like an artsy film. Like watch it be an artsy film. It's gonna end with Finn, and then like not even days later, Lady Gaga posts like the like little like a silhouette of like them coming together, and it's like a sounds like a like a French movie kind of deal, and it has like Farad Dirks or something like that. I don't know what it says, but it's basically two characters who are similar and come together, and I'm just like awesome, but why does it have to be a musical? Like I don't understand why it has to be like I understand if there's like some scenes where they sing for some odd reason, I can see that happening, but if you say the whole entire movie's gonna be a musical, I'm not gonna waste my money going to watch the movie.
I was telling
Redbox,
Brian last week, I was like, can you imagine if the movie is literally a musical because it all takes place like as the Joker's dancing down the stairs? Like that's the whole part 2 movie is in that time frame. He's just imagining it all. That he had a girlfriend and he's dancing and they're falling in love and he meets Harley, and then at the end he gets chased by the cops. Like it just goes back to fucking first movie, and I would be like, God, I hate this fucking franchise, dude. God, I hate it so good, God much. Because he's delusional, etc. Will lead to the character's insights through music. I get that. I get the part on the reason why it's a musical is because this is the way he's probably interpreting that he's in love with someone, and that this is like his like, oh, this is what love feels like. It feels like we're always dancing and singing and we can just keep moving because we're happy and blah blah blah. But why? Like why music? Like why music? Why dancing? Why all that stuff? When the Joker himself was one of the urban stories is he's a fucking crime boss. The other one is he's a comedian. Yeah. None of it is that he was like a Broadway performer. Like he's not. He has nothing to do about dance. Nothing to do about singing. Why? Like why would that be the first go-to? And I mean, I get it that they're gonna be like, oh, it's because it's funny. Like it's supposed to be like he's a crazy person, and dancing and singing a musical is crazy. High School Musical is fucking nuts. I mean, I get it. I get it.
But like, why does it have to be Joker? Like that's my thing. Like, why can't it just be on its own? Like I know you mentioned too. Like why wasn't it just called Arthur?
Like why? I think it would have been cool. Yeah. My biggest thing is if this guy wanted to be creative, he could have named it a film called Arthur, put all the little sprinkles of a little thing where it's like, well, what city are they from? I think I saw something in the background that said Gotham or something. Who's this guy? Arthur's never been named. You know, is he a crime guy? Is he this? Are they forcing him into violence and all that stuff? Like they could have done the whole thing and just made it to where it was a mystery thinking, is it the Joker or is it not the Joker? Yeah. Because literally at the end of the fucking film, they put him in front of everybody. He's got his Joker mask and everybody's praising him like he's a hero. And everyone in the comic books is drastically fucking scared of this guy. Like there's no one in the comic books that's like, yay, that's my hero, fucking guy. I love no one loves the Joker. He's a fucking like a diabolical person. Yeah. I was just rereading because I'm doing this big ass like I think I was telling you guys about it in the podcast. I always tell people I'm making a puzzle, right? I'm making like a live action puzzle that people can do. And I went back to go ahead and refresh my mind on A Death in the Family, right? Not the original one, but the recent one that the Joker kidnaps all the Robins. Okay. Like the New 52 variation where he cuts his face off and all that stuff. And I never paid attention to it the first time, but this dude is he's a fucking animal. Like he kills, like there's a part in the part where it's like Batman tells Nightwing, I don't need your help because I know where the Joker's going. He's reliving all the different parts of our life that we've been through. So I know he's going to end up on this bridge. So I'm going to meet him there first. Like, so I know where he's going to go next. He shows up and he's like, the Joker's there just like he had planned. Like he was like, I knew you were going to be here. And he's like, the Joker was like, well, I knew you knew I was going to be here. So I already killed everybody ahead of time. And he goes, look over the bridge. And he looks over the bridge and there's like 30 people with like cement bricks on their feet. Oh. Like just in the ocean, in the bridge underneath the water. And originally it was supposed to be like that he was supposed to drop poison and Batman already had the chemical to dilute it. And maybe like one or two people would have been injured, but Batman would have saved the day. And he's like, yeah, I figured you would have done that. So I just killed everybody ahead of time. Like there's a part right before that he walks into the fucking Gotham PD with a hammer, a ball-teen hammer,
Okay.
and cuts the lights and beats the shit out of like 80 cops. Just kills a bunch of cops, dude. And then Batman shows up, turns the lights on, and he saves the day. He stops, the Joker leaves or whatever, like right before he gets there. And he's like, what happened, Gordon? And Gordon's like, he told us a joke. Batman, he told us a joke. And it's like, dude, what the fuck is going on? This guy's just going around fucking killing everybody before he gets there, dude.
Oh, that's wild. That sounds wild.
And the only part of that movie that I got that was the part with the little guy. When Joaquin Phoenix locked the door ahead of time.
Okay, yeah.
And he fucking kills the big dude, and then the little guy, he's like, you can go ahead and leave. And he knew that little guy wasn't going to be able to reach the lock. So the little guy was going to have to break that weird silence of running and turn around and ask for help. He was going to have to say, even though the Joker already did you the favor of letting you live, you gotta take the risk and ask for another favor. Like, he knew that. And that to me was the most Jokerish thing throughout that whole movie, through and through. That was it. That was it to me. But they could have got away with just calling it Arthur. Like, that was my thing.
Yeah.
So like in the second film that they're coming out, like, I get it. I get the idea of it being like, well, you've already seen the Joker in so many ways. Like, you've seen it in so many ways, but I guarantee you've never seen him in a musical. And it's like, in my mind, I'm like, I mean, it's creative, but why though? Like, we still haven't solidified the idea of like, is it the Joker or is it not the Joker? Is it someone who inspires the Joker, or is he immortal and doesn't age, and Batman's going to be his age sooner or later, and then he's the Joker that everybody wants? Yeah. Because the Joker has fairly been close to Bruce Wayne's age by chance fairly throughout the comic book history. Of course, it's never really implied that they are the same age or not. There's even implications in the New 52 that he's actually immortal. And then there was another implication that there has been several Jokers. They've just been poisoned and brainwashed into believing themselves to be the Joker. And that's why you have all the different, the different variations, the Jack Napier, the Riddler, or the comedian one, the Red Hood one, the diabolical one, the Caesar Romano one. Every one of them has its place in the Joker mythos. But my biggest thing is with never having an origin story for this character is what creates a legend, is what creates the urban legend of the Joker. If you can pinpoint an origin story or something, it makes it easier to solve. Makes the character easier to solve. Then you know how to beat that. You know how to beat it. I mean, fuck. Arthur got fucking found out by the cops like in the 3rd chapter of the story. Mm-hmm. He's being chased by the cops because they knew he killed some dudes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. And then it can't be where there's two people that are crazy, because Harley Quinzel is a doctor. She's a therapist that's actually there to help the people. And then she falls in love with the Joker. And then later on, he like poisons her, brainwashes her. I don't know. It's a crazy origin story too. I mean, they fucking messed it up a little bit of the Suicide Squad, but Margot Robbie, I think, is still an amazing Harley Quinn. I think she through and through portrays the character fairly well. I don't think Lady Gaga's all that great of an actress, so I don't know what they're gonna do with this chick. They're gonna get her better acting classes, I hope.
I hope it's just like a one and done, like for her. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would like to see her interpretation, but I don't want to see her be actually Harley Quinn in future movies. Like, I'd rather Margaret be Harley Quinn still, because she does a really awesome job. At least I know, like, it wasn't. I know people don't care for Suicide Squad, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think I still watch it now, and I'm just like, this is pretty awesome. We got characters out of it, even though some of them were replaced and killed off.
Yeah, I think Rick Flag was a pretty good character.
Yeah, that was my
badass actor. I would have never cared about that dude if he never came out of that movie.
Yeah, it probably was
another shit. I just think that he did a fairly well role in that scene. And then, of course, there was a Clint Eastwood's son. He played one of the soldiers, and a lot of people. There was a theory that he was actually Dick Grayson.
That would have been,
and that he was in the Suicide Squad part, because he was there to keep an eye on him because he had heard about it. Because that's why they chose that. And that's a fucking cool theory, because why else would they choose someone of that nature, like being that, like a Clint Eastwood son, to be like a dude with 3 lines? if not to make him something a little bit more important. And he's got the chiseled jaw, dude. He's got like the fucking looks. Like he can be a fucking soldier boy, dude. Like he's got the look. He's got the look to be that hero-esque look. So for him to play a Damian Wayne's Nightwing, like that would be pretty good. Or a Dick Grayson Nightwing. That'd be cool. Even a fucking Red Hood, dude. I'd put him up for Red Hood.
I still want Dave Eyrett's cut. I want to see exactly what he would have done, to be honest. Like I know everyone's like no, but I'm just like, dude, what's the what's the hurt? Like he says all he needs is like VFRX. That's it.
Yeah,
the movie's done.
Fucking release it like they did the fucking pirata version of Wolverine Origins.
Dude, that was wild.
That,
that was a wild time for like like stealing movies. That was like the wildest time.
Yeah, that was the fucking Wild West right there, dude.
To be like put out and then actually sold as a DVD.
I remember I actually downloaded the Wolverine Origins movie, and it wasn't done. Like the CG effects, like. It was fucking like the airplane in the beginning during World War II were all boxes. Like there were boxes flying. Yeah. It was really bad. And then I saw the real movie, and I still thought the fucking one without CG was better. Like there's that scene where he's fighting Gambit and he's like fucking clawing the stairs and they're breaking apart Legos and shit. And I was like, then it went to the real fucking film and it was the same shit. It looked like Legos when you see it. I was like, dude, this is fucking trash, dude. This is so fucking bad. I couldn't believe they went with that shit. But yeah, man, Suicide Squad was pretty good. But like going back to the thing, like I really have no like, I don't know. There's just no desire for me to care what that Joker 2 movie's about.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I just feel like it's like the situation with Taika Waititi and Thor: Love and Thunder. Like they've come to this director. They gave him the rights to the character and tell them it's a DC universe and it's its own version. You don't have to follow anything. You can do your own thing. Again, why when they can't get the original shit right? Why do you give someone the right to fucking run amok in your franchise with whatever the fuck they want to do when you can't even write a fucking normal story of the regular fucking Joker character and then confuse the shit out of everybody? That's why now everybody's like, oh man, it'd be so cool if Robert Pattinson fought Joaquin Phoenix. Get the fuck out of here. Ben Affleck's Batman would fuck start Arthur Joker in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
You get in a fucking fist fight? Like fucking dude. Ben Affleck could fucking murder that guy in one punch, dude. That's like a fucking
just from the fight scene in Batman versus Superman, that warehouse scene, you know, he just annihilated
dude. Yeah, you look at that, and then you look at the movie Arthur, and you're like, you got beat up by a bunch of kids in an alley, dude. Like, there's no way this guy's hanging with fucking Ben Affleck. No fucking way, man. Robert Pattinson, I mean, he beat the shit out of that one kid at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And then he had that weird like rage out at the ending with the dude with the shotgun. And like the Catwoman's all like, oh my God, you're such a weirdo. Or like she's all freaked out by it. And then they turn around and they look at the dude and he's just got like scuff marks on his face. Like, he's just red and just a little bit of red marks.
It looked like he just like stopped. It's like in that when you have dreams of fighting people.
I was like, dude, he was just slapping him. He didn't even fucking punch him in the mouth. He was just slapping him and shit.
Exactly.
That's all he was doing. I was expecting it to turn around and him just be like full of blood and mush. Like
broken jaw,
I was expecting some violence.
Fight Club,
yeah, that's what I was expecting. Yeah. Some fucking what's his name, Pretty Boy, or what do they call Jared Leto's character?
Jared Leto.
Yeah, Jared Leto's character when they fucking messed up his face in Fight Club.
Yeah,
that's what I was expecting with the response we got from that Catwoman. Like from the response, because everyone was like, "Oh my God, bro, you're fucking freaking out." And you turn around and the guy's just like partially inconvenient. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, you scuffed my mask. Let me fix it real quick or whatever. Like, dude, I was so disappointed with that scene. I didn't even get to ask you, but what did you think of the Robert Pattinson Batman movie?
So like I changed my mind, different variations as I thought more and more about the movie after the days had passed. I thought it was awesome. And then after like a couple of days passed, I'm like, this movie kind of dragged. Like I expect this movie to be like top tier of Batman because it was year one. I saw I didn't read it, but I saw the animated version of year one. And I was like, this is gonna be awesome. Like, this is the first year of him being Batman, being the actual detective, and that was in the movie. That was pretty awesome to see that. But some of it was like not like didn't have to be in the movie, like where he's kind of creeping on Selena Kyle. I'm like, okay, like it could.
Yeah, he was really like he was really about that investigation. I'll tell you that much.
And I was just like, all right, cool. And then I kind of started lowering my my thumbs up for the movie. I was like, this was like a 4 out of 5, and then it started becoming like a 3.8, and then I was like, all right, it's a solid 3 and a 3.4. Like, I don't know, to be honest, I was just like, this movie's good, but it just dragged for so long. Like, I legit was getting tired. Like, I was already like, I want to get up and kind of leave, but like, I'm here. Like, why am I gonna leave?
Yeah, I wasted money, man.
Yeah, so I liked it. I just I don't know how or what they're gonna go on to the next movie. And like I know you had mentioned too in the beginning, like everyone's getting mad. And I've seen that too on Twitter. Twitter's insane, bro. Like I see most of the stuff on Twitter. I'm just like, okay, everyone needs to kind of chill out. I mean,
yeah, man,
like,
everybody's just acting privileged, man. They're lucky to be in this time. We grew up in a time where the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards was like dancing in a club. Like,
like in the club, who knew what we would be getting this time around in our lifetime, bro? Like, we should be grateful. Like, to be getting movies year round is insane, and to get shows.
I always tell people like while we were growing up, even like the people that are in the comments probably, like when we were growing up, Blade was literally the best superhero movie out on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Like Blade one, and I guess you could say The Crow. But it's hard to say if it was because of the death of Brandon Lee that circled it. It was like the Selena curse, which is like, was her music all that fantastic, or was it pushed into stardom because of the death of the person and made more valuable, right? The Crow movie was great, but Blade definitively was a great comic book superhero movie. Comparing Blade to like the first X-Men franchise, I still think Blade was better.
For sure. I mean, it was like an introduction to like, superhero movies, but it wasn't like, mind blowing as much as like, Blade was. Like, Blade was just kind of like in your face, like what we were sitting, like what was like the thing of the time, or like the movies. And X-Men was kind of just like an introduction, like we're giving you something that's new, and hopefully you like it. And yeah, and it was, it continued. And of course, when Future passed and then like Dark Phoenix came around, it was kind of just like, what happened to like the first start of X-Men? And you guys basically, the timelines are screwed up. Timelines are screwed up. Even when you have the pictures of the memes where it's Hugh Jackman sitting down with Sir Patrick Stewart and I forget his other name too, and then he's sitting down with that one guy who's playing Professor X, and it's just
McAvoy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like the
Days of Future Past.
Yeah, and I'm just like, this the way you guys started off should have matched like what you guys are doing now. And I get it. You guys are trying to like make it more of like an introduction, like be refreshing. At the same time, like where did you guys start and how are you guys ending? And it's not the right way as far as storytelling. And we know X-Men. X-Men is like a household name, and before Avengers was, X-Men was the jump start when it came to superheroes.
Yeah, most definitely. And then even that, like, even comparing it to like the Sam Raimi Spider-Verse, like Blade still by far to me was a way superior superhero movie, because it was in the superhero genre. It took itself very serious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you knew that for what it was like it was almost like the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie.
Okay.
Like, even though that movie was just a Dolph Lundgren film, like it just kind of sat with those like Commando, like the Terminator movies. Like, it's like Robert said, can we say Predator? I mean, Predator at the time really wasn't a comic book story, but it was a sci-fi book. I really wouldn't recommend putting it in that genre because it sits on its own as being like the way Aliens was, where like you didn't know if you could put aliens in a horror film or a sci-fi film. It just sat in its own genre of being like awesome. Awesome. Like an awesome action movie. Because you had your corny ass, hyper built Mr. Olympian dude that was like the front runner, that was like the superhero that's going to save the day. You didn't have like a dude that was like us, like 5'4", 5'5", asthmatic. We like Burger King and McDonald's and shit. You're gonna have a dude that's like literally 6'4", which is very niche, 230 pounds of just pure fucking balls and testosterone driven. That was like, oh, I just so happened to be a Navy SEAL and a Marine recon guy. I served 50 years in Desert Storm, and I punched Osama bin Laden in the mouth or whatever. Like they were such niche characters, dude. Sigourney Weaver, of course, played this like a beautiful heroine. Same thing with Linda Blair in the Terminator series, where man, she was like my crush growing up. I thought she was so amazing. The mom from Terminator, I thought she was such a fucking G back in the day. I loved her. I thought she was so awesome. That's why it's always freaking me out when people are like, we don't have enough female representation. And I was like, you just didn't like guy movies, man. Like you just didn't like guy movies. Guy movies had awesome female representation all the time. Fucking Dez from Starship Troopers was fucking awesome. Oof. Yeah, she was so fucking cool. Dude, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Dude, the original movie and the fucking TV series. Like, nah, we've had Angel. We had, what were the other one? Dark Angel.
Alias too.
Alias. Yeah, dude, we had a lot of female representation. Fuck yeah, we did. But yeah, man. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. The Predators. Can we say Predators would be a part of that? For me, I would kind of leave it out. I would just say, like, going back to what we were talking about, Blade took itself way serious. So even when you look at the Spider-Man movies, you would kind of put those in genre with more of like the Fantastic Four films. Mm-hmm. Maybe even like the X-Men, but the X-Men was very close to taking itself kind of serious also. X-Men 2 came out. You had Wolverine going and trying to figure out his history. They were kidnapping kids. They were shooting kids with fucking dart guns. Like, it was pretty violent as shit. Like, it was crazy. So I think X-Men 2 would be more in that consideration of when it wanted to take itself serious. Where nowadays, you don't have any other franchise other than Marvel selling $1 million movies at the box office. Every other film that comes out has to wait its turn to at least be noticed in the process. Mm-hmm. Like right now, you could probably tell me every superhero film that's in theaters, but you can't really tell me what else is out there that's not, other than a Pixar Buzz Lightyear film or something. So I don't even know what's in theaters right now.
No, I think like last movie I saw Maverick. That movie was great.
Oh, well, Maverick. Okay, Maverick's another one, but that's like an action movie from the 80s. Yeah. You know, or the 90s, actually. That was true and true, like an action film. That was a dude film. That was like, you didn't watch it because you wanted to see someone fall in love romantically. No. You watched it because you wanted to see some dudes doing some dude shit in space or in the air or shit, you know, dodging bullets. That was 100% why Will Smith punching an alien was such a cool scene in Independence Day. Like that was that. Like him just walking up to the airplane, like kind of cussing it out, and then the thing opens up and he's just like, man, fuck you, boom, and he punches in the mouth. No. Like, yeah, that's those moments, and they just have its own genre that it speaks to. So the Spider-Man films, the Fantastic Four films, those, when the movies, like whoever, I forgot who it was, like Fox or whatever, Sony or whatever, when they made those films, they were like, oh, well, these are a little silly, so they can be a little kind of, you know, silly-ish too. And they just made them silly. That's why they never took that shit serious. So to me, that's why Blade was such a saving grace. And nowadays, if it wasn't for those films being there, we wouldn't have what we have today. Like, sure. But I think more in the sense that the foundation was the way they made the Blade movies. If they didn't make those so serious, nobody would believe that they were serious movies. Fuck, we would have never had Deadpool if it wasn't for Blade Trinity. We would have never had Deadpool because the fucking director was like, man, you'd be a really good Deadpool. And Ryan Reynolds was like, who the fuck is Wade Wilson and who's Deadpool? And then boom, he read about it and was like, yo, X-Men Origins, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
You know, hit me up. And then boom, they got him in, and now look at him. He practically pisses gold. He's like the Midas touch, dude. Like Ryan Reynolds is like the Midas touch in the Marvel universe. There's no way you can ruin that guy. How do you think he's going to come into the Marvel universe, dude?
Oh man, I heard this really awesome theory, but I forgot it. It was just I heard this really crazy theory, and it blew my mind, and I was just like, all right, cool. But honestly, I don't know how he's gonna be brought in. I think someone had mentioned that because Doctor Strange had did the thing for Peter and the last Spider-Man movie, that's where he's gonna be introduced. Like he's gonna drop in, like kind of how Venom did. But this is another side for Wade is like, where am I? Like this is kind of crazy. Like what's happening or who's that or like what, and he's kind
I'm
of
so
just
excited.
introduced to
Dude, that's
everybody.
probably my only thing I'm excited for right now in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, so I'm just like, dude, this is gonna be kind of crazy. He's always gonna be like, who the fuck are you guys? And he's just like, I think he's gonna start shooting people randomly, like the superheroes random. Like, I don't know who you guys are, but this is kind of crazy.
I
Kinda
have I have two theories. One of them, it ends up being like the comic book, right? Which is back in the day, they were going to shelve Deadpool the character, and they sent him to this writer guy that writes characters out of stories.
okay.
And the way the guy was like, he's like, nah, man, I still think this guy can make it. So like what he did was he wrote Deadpool into him going into like a mobile home where all these like old characters that he had written out were like kind of like retired superheroes and villains and shit that they don't use in Marvel. And the moment he opens the door, Deadpool is like, no way, dude, I'm out of this. Bye. And he turns around and he's leaving. And the security guard's like, dude, where are you going? You're like, you can't just up and leave. And he goes, you kidding? I'm out. And then like he kind of like cracks a joke and he jumps into like a puddle on the floor and he like dives to it and then ends up like in the 616 as
That's
the
crazy.
Deadpool that's like the comedy version.
Okay.
Like that's how he did it. So he just jumps through like a random water hole and then just appears. Of course, that's very Deadpool of him in the comics because it doesn't need to make sense. And at the time, like no one was reading his comic books. They get away with the stupidest shit, right? I really think a really great way to introduce him would be him showing up at the Illuminati scene of Multiverse of Madness.
Okay.
And he's coming in with like everybody's shawarma, which is like a callback to the Avengers. Like, hey, everybody, I got your shawarma, and Patrick Stewart, I got your, and then he's like, oh, and then he kind of like, you know what I mean? Because the thing is from what I remember, there was this theory that the Baron Mordo of our universe was supposed to be killed off by Wanda in the beginning of the film.
Okay.
Because she's supposed to be hunting down like magic users that are evil or whatever, or people that are abusing it. And he was supposed to show up and Wanda was supposed to kill him really quick. And it just so happens that in the alternate universe where they have the Illuminati variation of Baron Mordo, who looks very much more like the comic book variation with the long hair, like that he ends up coming into the 616 as the new Baron Mordo. Like knowing what Doctor Strange is capable of, knowing the evil of him, because at the ending of Doctor Strange 1, he leaves knowing that the Ancient One was using the power to save lives or keep herself alive, to defend herself, but she was just using the evil that she had told people not to use. And then you see Doctor Strange use it to change reality, but then the dude fucking helped Doctor Strange and used the same power to stop reality I forgot his name. I can't remember that guy's fucking name in the first movie. The bad guy in the first one, Callistius or whatever, Celsius or Celsius, or I don't know. Celsius. They end up using the time gem to beat the guy and then send him off to Dormammu or whatever. And then Baron Mordo is just like, I'm gonna leave because I'm gonna stop people who are using magic for their own goods or whatever. And then he leaves. It doesn't really make him a villain. It's just like, dude, like don't be a dick, bro. Like you just saved all of Chinatown. Like you can use magic for good. I mean, fucking people use it in Vegas all the time. Like they make great shows. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. But apparently the one in the 616, or not in the 616, in the Insurgents world or the Illuminati world, like knew what Doctor Strange was willing to sacrifice to make things happen. And he used the Darkhold, and they were like, yo, dude, you caused an incursion. Like, you could have killed us all. Like, we're going to have to wipe you out. Like, he knows the ramifications of what Doctor Strange is willing to do. So he just wants to wipe out Doctor Strange's. Yeah. Like, that makes a fuckload more sense to me of having a villain that just doesn't like him to like him. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I think it'd be cool if they introduced him with Baron Mordo, and then he just fucking kills Baron Mordo or something. Like, you know what I mean? I think it'd be cool. I'm just really excited to see a Deadpool come out. But yeah, that's my call on that. And actually, go for it. Where are you saying?
And that's because like for Deadpool 3, they had mentioned that they're trying to make it like a end game level kind of movie, and we haven't even really gotten that sense from part 1 nor 2. So how they expect to do like an end game sense for Deadpool
Phase 4 is so bad right now.
Yeah.
Phase 4 is really, really fucking bad. Yo, as a matter of fact, speaking about Phase 4, jumping away from DC, let's jump to some Marvel talk.
Yes.
So recently they just released I Am Groot on the Disney streaming service Disney Plus. Have you been able to check it out or no?
I saw a few episodes, man. To be honest, I was expecting something whole entirely completely different than what I actually thought. But we got it. This is what it is. And I was just like, I only saw 2 episodes, bro. To be honest, I probably maybe saw like a third of the third episode or whatever it is. I didn't watch them like how chronologically order they were. I just kind of saw them randomly and like how it is. And I was just kind of like, all right, well, this is made for kids, exactly made to keep them busy, kind of deal. This wasn't made for the general audience, kind of deal, or even had to do anything with the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It was just kind of like here,
Nothing to do with anything,
basically
man.
it for us. So
It's really weird, man, because a lot of the things that have recently been coming out, like they are not in any form or fathom pushing Phase 4 into any direction.
no,
Like, I mean, I really wasn't expecting I Am Groot to really be like, yo, dude, this is gonna fucking jumpstart Phase 4. Like that wasn't it. I don't think Kang was gonna pop in on Groot, right? But in my mind, I didn't think Marvel was into just throwing away properties, like just throwing them out there in the middle of nowhere.
mm-hmm.
Like, is I Am Groot a fun thing? It's cute,
Yeah, for sure.
but it's so fast that I just couldn't get into it because of how quick the episodes were. So
They're
I
like
would
6
be
minutes
there.
long.
I'd be watching. I think I saw like 3 of them. I saw one of them where it's like the one you saw with like he farts and a leaf comes out and he feeds these people. And then, yeah. And then I saw another one that it was like some kind of like goo monster that he's like having a dance off with.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
very reminiscent to the dance off between Peter Quill and Ronan the Accuser.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
for
what
sure.
I was trying to. That's
Yeah.
why. That's the only thing that I can imagine why that would have been like the first thing. And then I just can't even remember the third one because it was so easily to forget about. But like when I was watching the one with the little things, right? Like by the time he turns around and grabs like the bushel of leaves, like I was about to start laughing, and then like 5 seconds later the credits come out. And I was like,
What happened?
what the fuck am I watching? Like that was it?
Yeah.
Like this was on the fucking Teletron at San Diego Comic-Con with a huge fucking bust on it.
Yeah.
And it was only like a 5, not even like, I didn't even feel like 5 minutes long. It felt like 2 minutes. And they didn't even fucking put up anything for the Armor Wars series.
That got left out.
That to me was like this had a huge ass fucking coverage of, they had trailers for this, like they made it seem like this shit was gonna be fucking like really cool little extra, little snippets of what's going, and it ended up being those weird like pop. I don't know if you ever saw the Pop Disney Marvel videos that they made with the Pop toys.
No.
They have like these little snippets and they're like that. They're like a minute long. But they look like they would be on the cusp of advertisements for Pops.
Okay.
Like if they were gonna be like, oh, a Spider-Man series of Pops. Now here's a little ad, and then it's like a little video of the Pop like shooting spider webs, and then the Goblin shows up, and then they share a Coke, and that's it. Like, and you're like, okay, like I guess I don't want to buy that Pop. You know what I mean? Like you're just gonna be like, it just looks like advertisement. It looks like advertisement.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't see the purpose of Marvel doing this kind of stuff other than just making money, like, or getting kids to watch some shit. Because for me, one of the things was I was really upset with the way they underutilized the Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor: Love and Thunder.
That too, man. Honestly, I was just kind of like, this was kind of just, they didn't even sound like they had to be there in the first place. Like they were doing the same thing. They were legit doing the same thing. We're gonna help these people, but like you're going after the same person that Thor is going after. Thor just wanted to go see Sif.
They were doing exactly what Korg was giving disposition on. They were like, yeah, and then these guys showed up and they started fighting some aliens, and it's like that's exactly what they were doing. I was like, I could see this, Korg. The Taika Waititi, I could see this. You don't have to explain it to me. Like, do that with something else. Like, let me watch it and just understand.
Yeah.
The way that they had left off, I guess, but to me, it's like, again, I guess Taika Waititi didn't even watch the film. Endgame. was you were going to have the As Guardians of the Galaxy, which, man, I am really hoping James Gunn comes and saves the day, even though I hate James Gunn. Like, I don't like him as a person.
Yeah.
But I know he's a good director. Like, I know he can direct films and stuff, and I really hopes that he has Chris Hemsworth in the film. You know, they give us like they don't have to give us a lot, but at least give us some type of small arc where they are, you know, involving each other, talking to each other, you know, being a team. You know, don't do what Taika Waititi did, man, for the God's sakes. Like, they need to get rid of that dude.
Because I remember I saw this like little snippet, someone had recorded it where they showed like the trailer for this Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's gonna be, and he talked about it too. This one's gonna be more on Rocket. Like, this movie's gonna be more about Rocket, the family themselves that they created with each other, and this is more like Rocket's origin story, which is pretty cool. But at the same time, just like, okay, so like, what more is supposed to happen? But you see the trailer and you see Rocket as like a baby raccoon, and someone's gonna like grab him, and then, you know, he mentions like I was worked on like basically like a science project, blah 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 kind of deal. So I'm just like, all right, so how does this like reflect on the movie, and like how is that going to proceed? But for sure, he kind of mentions like, you know, this is going to be about more or less them as a family and how they're going to help each other out a little bit more. But of course, he's mentioned in the past too, like, someone's gonna die. We know Drax is leaving. Dave Bautista is like done. He's like, I can only be shirtless for so many movies before my tits start sagging. You know, you don't want to see me with my saggy tits in like in the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And like,
I couldn't just stand his acting. He was funny because he didn't have to act.
Yeah,
but like, I think Dave Bautista is very full of himself. So like, literally, they could bring in fucking. They're bringing in fucking Adam Warlock, and they could bring in his daughter, Drax's daughter, the one I forgot her name is like Dragon, Moon Dragon. Mm-hmm. Like, she's like a telepath too, or something like that. But she's pretty strong, and she's pretty prominent in the Guardians of the Galaxy storyline. Who else could they? I mean, I know that they're going to do the Higher Evolutionary, because that's the person that's supposed to be working on Rocket Raccoon. And the Higher Evolutionary is very important because he's the one that created Wanda and Quicksilver.
Okay.
So he's kind of like this dude that takes species and pushes them to the highest parts of their limits.
Gotcha.
So that's what he does, and he does it all through experiments. I know that there was a theory that people were talking about that maybe Rocket's going to die, because you had Yondu die in the last one. Mm-hmm. And Yondu and Rocket had like this really big, like, you're me and I am you kind of moment.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think that the fact that Dave Bautista's stepping away, he's probably going to be the person that dies, which is fucking fine by me. They ruined his character a long time ago with him not necessarily actually making him the Drax the Destroyer from the comics book. About his whole purpose was to destroy Thanos. Like, he literally had special powers that were to destroy Thanos. Mm-hmm. Not Ronan, but Thanos. So they kind of, you know, but it is what it is. Adam Warlock's coming in really fucking late in the game. But I keep telling people what's very, very interesting is that in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, they brought up the idea of time travel. And now we have the idea of the multiverse, right? When time travel, when it was established, the Avengers went back in time. They changed a bunch of shit, but they fucked up. One, they fucked up because they lost the Tesseract and Loki took off in that timeline. So anything past that had Loki in it never happens. Never happens. He doesn't die in Infinity War. You know, he doesn't fuck around with his brother in Thor. I don't know, whatever fucking movies he comes out in. He doesn't come out in Thor Ragnarok or anything. Like, he's not in anything anymore. He just took off. Yeah. And then, of course, we saw him in his TV show or whatever. Mm-hmm. But the other thing, too, is we look back at the time period of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 when that Thanos is being told by not Gamora, but the other one, what's her face? Nebula, that these people have come back in time to stop him and collect all the stones and know all the history and all that stuff, because the other Nebula is still connected to the Wi-Fi or whatever it is. The fucking like
Bluetooth.
The easy writing part of that story. Hey, what's up, Big John? Then you have that Thanos from the past, which I'm guessing has to be closer to like Captain Marvel's movie, 96, 97, maybe.
Yeah.
Because the kid's kidnapped in like the 80s. or in the 70s actually. So it might be like early or late 80s, early 90s actually. So he might be a little bit. Yeah, it'd be about the 90s. Let's just say 90s just to be safe. That Thanos ends up coming to Earth. You're coming to the future and getting fucking wiped out of existence by the Avengers and the Infinity Stones. So that means from that timeline in that part of the same universe, because there was no multiverse, in that timeline, whatever Thanos had been planning and doing and all this stuff, he disappeared from the entire cosmic landscape. So there was never a collection of Infinity Stones ever done past that. When Captain America goes back and puts all those stones back, they never get touched after that. So there's a huge possibility that Adam Warlock could have the gem in his forehead already. And they could have just rewritten all the cosmic stories and had it to be where the Infinity story happened, but then it got wiped out of existence and it got turned back into what the cosmic landscape is usually like in the cosmic universe, but without a Thanos in general. Do you get me?
Yeah,
so, I mean, it's an interesting way to concept, because there was a lot of people that were saying that apparently in the trailer that they released at San Diego Comic-Con that Adam Warlock was going to have the soul gem in his forehead. And a lot of people are like, well, how the fuck did that happen? Like, how does he have the soul gem if there's like no Infinity Stones or blah, blah, blah? And it's like, well, no, like if that's the case, then the chick that's in charge of that race of people, they just went and got the soul gem.
This is going to be wild.
And then, that's how they create them. So like in the concept of it, like we may get like a comic book accurate variation of Adam Warlock with the soul stone and the soul realm and all that good stuff. But the only problem is Adam Warlock doesn't really have much left other than the Infinity story. So they may do like maybe the Infinity Watch where they all get a gem and they have to take care of it. Or they'll do like a Cosmic Entities Living Tribunal kind of situation. Because okay, so this is where it gets to, right? Where we come back to the Marvel Universe and the landscape. And with all the stuff that Marvel has done in the last couple of years with the MCU, with them taking a lot of liberties to change a lot of the stories around and stuff like that, we're getting to a point where all the original comic book characters, all the original people that we know are all either being replaced or killed off, right?
Yeah.
But their arcs are now being used by the younger generation of characters that are coming out, being like the Kate Bishops, the Miss Marvel, the Wiccan and Speed. Like all of these characters are now going to come in and sit in the roles, SheHulk even, and sit in the roles of the original Avengers that were all a part of these arcs to begin with. Like we all got that picture of What If, right? The What If that's coming out. And we saw the roster of all the people that survived the zombie apocalypse. And it's all the new streaming Marvel characters. Like it's all the streaming Marvel characters. None of those people were even in the Marvel zombie story. Like it was literally just the original Avengers cast that was part of that story. So now they're going to run Marvel What If, and they're going to bring in, Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop, the Black Panther's security lady, Shuri, and then it's like, or the new Black Widow. It's going to be the sister. What's her? Ileana.
Yeah,
right.
Ileana.
And it's like, but those people had never been a part of that storyline. So if I read the comic books and I'm watching this story, like, why would I be invested in characters that weren't even originally in the story? Like we talked about it earlier, where when you change the race or a gender of the character, it can work unless like the originality of the character or where it originates from changes the facet of the story.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why Marvel Zombies worked for us is because it dealt with all the major characters we already knew of. We knew all their origin stories. We knew all their hiccups and all their problems. And then they just turned into zombies. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So we were cool with it. But like if Miss Marvel turns into a zombie, who the fuck cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Like she can be a zombie all day. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. That's been my biggest concern, is that they are getting to a point where you are reaching the bad years of Marvel Comics, where you brought in all of these characters that were very unsuccessful in the stories. And now you're just taking the unsuccessful characters and throwing them into the successful arcs and trying to make them run those arcs.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where Marvel, like right now, we're probably going to hit a speed bump in the Marvel universe, the MCU. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for DC to save the day. I think it's a perfect speed. Perfect. But yeah, that's been my biggest concern is they take all these characters and they do all this stuff and the liberties and things. And now you have the Adam Warlock character that everyone's excited for no reason. Because it's like, well, what are you going to do with this character? Like, that's what I always ask people. It's like I think we talked about it too. Beta Ray Bill, right?
Yeah.
Beta Ray Bill's a good character. But he was very niche in the very beginning of his career. There was only like 5, 6.
Small part. Yeah, because he was introduced and then forgotten.
Oof, yeah, he was gone. Like, how do you fit in Beta Ray Bill now with the way the MCU is there? Like, what would you do? Like, Odin's not there.
Yeah.
So right now, Jane Foster, Captain America, they both picked up the hammer. So, and the enchantment, they really haven't explained if Stormbreaker has an enchantment. So, like, can anybody just pick up the hammer? And since Jane Foster was able to pick up Mjolnir, and it had an enchantment, and it was created by the dwarf guy with the metal hands, and her body and brain didn't explode, did Thor lie to the Guardians of the Galaxy and couldn't have given them weapons to fight Thanos with?
That's true.
And with the way Taika Waititi handled Thor, why didn't Thor just give everybody Thor powers when he showed up to Wakanda to fight Thanos? Like, why, when all the Avengers are all like, when Cap's like, Avengers assemble, why do you say, hey, wait a minute, everybody, hold on. Everybody hold out your weapons, let's fucking, let me bless them real quick with the power of, and then he just turns everyone into a goddamn Thor. Like,
yeah.
Why, what the fuck is going on? I'm so blown away. So fucking blown away.
I kind of want to just forget about Thor, Love and Thunder.
You're like, but I can't.
Forget about it.
I can't. You know what's even sillier than that is, like, can you imagine the next movie that we're supposed to be getting is Thor being like a single father?
I don't want to see that.
Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, what part of the comic books is this? Like, I want anybody in the comment section that's out there that likes comic books like we do. Tell me what fucking comic book this is basing itself on, where Thor is like a single father, like raising a daughter, and tell me where this is all going to go. Because it doesn't make sense to me anymore.
And
it doesn't make sense to me.
And I feel like if we do get a new, like a next Thor movie, I think we're going to see like what happened with with Ant-Man, with how his daughter Cassie just grew up drastically. I think we might just get that. I think we'll get like a snippet of the beginning.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Jump into her later age is whatever it is that she's going to jump into. But at the same time, I don't want to see that. Like,
but who is she supposed to be then? Like,
yeah,
in the whole fucking Marvel landscape and Thor theory, like, there's been the granddaughters of Thor who come out like in the Gore the God Butcher story that are the 3 granddaughters of, like of King Thor. Yeah. And they're all warriors. There's Brunhilde, which is like the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie girl, the one that's the blonde-haired one with the ponytail. I think she's like the daughter. If I'm not mistaken, she may be the daughter of Thor. If I'm not mistaken. Because the thing is like, okay, so like Thor Love and Thunder leaves it very open-ended. Like Jane Foster, even though she didn't die in battle, because she just died of cancer, not in battle, but I guess they're claiming that her fighting cancer is a battle, which I do 100% respect people that have to go through the battle of cancer. I do respect that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But it just kind of nichely doesn't explain how she gets introduced to go to Valhalla. Yeah. In the comic books, she dies fighting the Mangog and then is introduced to go to Valhalla. But then later on, they make her a Valkyrie, which I don't understand why they just keep giving her roles in the Asgardian realm. They're just like, oh, hey, dude, you want to be the Asgardian, cafeteria lady? Like, here's the fucking hammer of spatula or whatever. Like, they just keep giving her fucking powers. She ends up being a Valkyrie, which, with the way the MCU is handling it, it doesn't mean shit. But in the comic books, like, a Valkyrie is almost like a police officer in Asgard, and they're bestowed some, pretty awesome powers. In fact, you are the person as a Valkyrie. Your whole job is to protect the spirits from going to Valhalla. So you're like a messenger or like a guard, like the river Styx you like take them to the Valley of the Dead or Valley of the Death, right? So it plays its role, but it's not really established. Like that's what Valkyrie does, like the fucking king of Asgard or whatever she is, like Tessa Thompson or whatever.
Yeah,
like it doesn't really explain what her role is. Man, her role was trash in this movie. Like it was really bad. It didn't make any sense to me.
Actor, I don't know. I was.
We got John, my boy John Castillo in the comments. He says it could be Thor doing what Odin did for Loki and guiding her to help people. It could be a new story altogether. Yeah, I mean, they really haven't explained like what the job of a Valkyrie is. Like, if a Valkyrie has a purpose and like their point is to be like a god of Asgardians, and they have a job like to transport spirits. Like, why did Tessa Thompson just go and become a space pirate? Like, how did she do that when she has like a legitimate job? And then how did Thor just be like, oh, I know you're a Valkyrie and you protect spirits to go to heaven, but you're going to be king now because I'm going to go on a space adventure with these dudes. And yeah, it's just they don't solidify that mythology yet, so it doesn't make any sense. Like Heimdall has a specific fucking purpose.
Yeah.
Like he literally stands at a bridge, turns a sword, and makes people go all over the place. And then when you're like, hey, Heimdall, what are you doing? And he's like, nothing. I could just see everything in the universe. You're like, holy shit, that's a specific power. Good on you. You know what I mean? They don't do that with the Valkyrie character. They're just like, oh, well, she swings a sword. She had a horse that could fly. Like, yeah, that's it. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's really weird to me. Lemon says, it was said that Hela wiped out the Valkyries' order. Yeah, but in the aspect of it, like, what was the purpose of the Valkyrie? Like, why were they even fighting Hela to begin with? Like, why didn't Odin fight him or her? Like, how did he lock her up later in his prison?
Hell, whatever.
Yeah, or whatever. He locked him up. Like, why didn't he just do that first instead of sending like people that he knew weren't going to win? Like, if she was able to wipe all of them out, like, cause she had a very specific power, which again does not make any fucking sense because they literally just gave her the Black Blade, the ebony blade of the comic book world, and they could not do the same thing with Gore the God Butcher, which was sad as shit.
Yeah, and that's because if I had read correctly, they were trying to introduce like Null into the universe now.
No way that's gonna work now.
And I'm just like, I don't know, man.
They had a really good setup. Thor Ragnarok, I give it up for Taika Waititi, even though I don't like him. I give it up. The ending of the story of Hela fighting Surtur and them blowing up Asgard was an easy layup to have Hela land on that planet that Gore the God Butcher was at and then be fatally wounded. Surtur dead because he only dies after Ragnarok. Perfect. He already fucking blew up Asgard. That was his whole purpose. Yeah. He didn't have to stay alive. Cinder's supposed to come in anyways. Cinder's the daughter of Surtur. Like, she would have taken over their people because there's a whole race of like fire demons that live on a planet or whatever. But they both would have landed on the planet and it would have been devastating for the little small dying race of Gore's people. That Hela would have been laying there. And since Asgard is destroyed, she has no power. Like, she's already weakened because she gets her power from Asgard. Mm-hmm. Remember that? Like, then she doesn't see it as Asgard the people because she's fucking killing the people. She gets it literally from Asgardia, like the state of existence, the realm. So with it being destroyed by Surtur, she would be no power. She would land on the planet, be like in a big ass crater. Gore goes down to her, sees her mortally wounded, and she's like, "You fucking, you peasant, pick me up so I can do my thing." And then him be like, "Nah, fuck you, bitch." Like, and then he just fucking takes her shit and stabs her. And then when he grabs the thing, like it absorbs into him, and boom, he has the exact fucking weapon that came out in the comic books. And you have a dead god just like you had in the comic books, and you don't have to bring Hela back because you already fucking wrote her out of existence because she just blew up on a weird ass place anyways.
Yeah.
Like, but we all know Loki survived in space, so why can't she? Like, it's just Marvel has a really shit way of dealing with its villains. It has a really shit way of dealing with its villains. And I think, again, I really, really hope that, look, I think Taika Waititi can stay in the Marvel universe, like as a director. But I think he needs to be given silly movies. Like, give him Ant-Man. Like, give him Ant-Man because Ant-Man needs saving. Ant-Man is a bad movie. Ant-Man is a really bad movie. It needs saving. It needs what he did for Thor Ragnarok. Once Thor Ragnarok gets off the floor and you do something good, give it to somebody the fuck else, please, dude. Like, just let him do the start of it. Just let him get a little bit of wonky little jokes out of it, but don't keep him going, man. Don't keep him going. Ant-Man, I've always believed needed the help, but geez, man. But going on with what we're talking about, Marvel Universe, and them taking a lot of what is it? Privilege in changing things. Have you heard about the changes for the She-Hulk movie?
No, I haven't. No, tell me more. Tell me.
So recently they just released a new trailer. And in the trailer, of course, we see where it's Jennifer and Bruce Banner in a car, making some crack jokes about Captain America's history, what she saw on like the Discovery Channel, or, you know, just making crack jokes about it. And then all of a sudden something happens. They fly off the expressway or off of a hill, and they get in a really bad car accident. In the process, Bruce Banner, for some umpteen reason why they haven't really quite explained yet, does not change into the Hulk as he naturally would to save his mortal life, which is in the comic books, he just always changes. Yeah. So no matter what situation, Banner never gets hurt because before he's even given the opportunity to get hurt, he's already changing into the Hulk. In this one, he's apparently, they get in a car accident, which is very close to the origin story. But Bruce Banner in this story is going to be fatally wounded, which again, they don't explain why. And Jennifer Walters is going to be like, she's going to be cut up too. And she's going to be like holding on to him, trying to make sure he's okay. And his blood gets inside a cut. And then she automatically starts turning green. And boom, she becomes She-Hulk. Which originally in the original comic book story, it was different. It was, she's in a horrible accident. Bruce Banner gives her a blood transfusion. And then she starts having these really bad like anger attacks and anger issues and starts turning into the Hulk. And then he has to educate her on how to be more in control. So they went ahead and changed it to where now she's saving him, which I don't understand. Excuse me, I got like, look, I'm drinking. I don't understand why they needed to change the origin story. Because it doesn't make sense to me with the way the Hulk's powers work.
Yeah.
So we know like for several years, Infinity War or Endgame, the Hulk learned to control his powers. Which means he was able to, what did he say? He was able to mix the brains and the bronze?
Yeah, to put them together and then create one.
And to create the character that they used in Endgame, right? But he makes it seem like it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is something I can control. That's super easy. Like I could just be this all day. I could just turn it on like a light switch, right?
Yeah.
Totally going against the theory or the way that they created it in Infinity War, where it has its own persona and chooses when it wants to stay out. Right? So the Hulk mentality in that movie was like, no, I'm tired of you using me. I don't want to be used anymore. You deal with it, Banner. I hate you. And I'm just going to stay scared and inside. It wasn't a light switch. So Endgame literally uncanonized itself into making it seem that the Hulk could literally just turn it on and off if he was able to control it. Doesn't make any sense. But now they're making it to where it's like, okay, cool. Like if this is after Endgame, because he has his cast on. Mm-hmm. So this is after him being the savior of mankind and bringing everybody back because it had gamma radiation and he was the chosen one or whatever the fuck. Why would it be now in a car accident situation when your blood pressure and your anxiety will be out the window because of fear and everything? Why would it be he wouldn't change at that moment? Like, what? Like, I don't. This is again Marvel taking its own fucking weirdness to make things a weirder story. I don't know why they're doing it, but the other thing is in the trailer, what caught my eye was the thing that made them fly off the expressway. So for some reason, it's like a ship from the Thor Ragnarok movie. It's a Sicarian ship. what's the purpose of them having a Sicarian ship in this show?
You think you might be the Grandmaster's like sister or something? Because that girl that's supposed to be like the villain in the show or something like that, she's supposed to play. She kind of maybe like has that like representation of maybe him, and
Hey,
she's
man.
coming to like
Titania,
seek
right?
revenge. Maybe I don't know. That's probably like one way I could see it as she's coming into this as the role of the villain. Because
I
I
mean, she
mean,
looks like a wrestler, doesn't she? Like the
yeah,
way she's dressed is like super flamboyant clothing, fucking fluffy scarf and like glowing pants, and like it's super funny when I saw her. I was like,
yeah.
oh shit, like she looks like a wrestler girl, like a
So,
fucking WWE wrestler girl.
so I mean, I
um,
could see that as coming in. I guess
yeah.
that's how she's introduced into the show because there's also a scene too where she's like, She-Hulk's in the courtroom and then she comes blasting in and there's a fight and she's like, I didn't want to ruin this suit or whatever
Oh,
it
the
is.
suit, right?
Yeah, and I'm just like, all right, well, cool, but like at the same time, just like, all right, well, like, I guess we have to see what happens. We have to see like how the show like transgressions with the story with the villains and like who and how does like Matt Murdock play into this whole entire scenario too, as well as Bruce. I mean, it's. I wonder how long these episodes is going to be in the first place for She-Hulk. I don't know if they
How do
have
you, how
said.
do you feel so far about what you've seen so far with the She-Hulk like trailers? Like, I mean, of course, there's a lot of scrutiny around the idea that it's all like the woke agenda and the feminist agenda and all of this stuff. Where I mean, of course, a lot of people don't know is that the Jennifer Walters character was a fighter for like the feminist movement in the original comics, and yeah, she was like a sexual icon. Also, like a bunch of dudes were like, "Yo, look at her, sick a built chick. She's so hot or whatever." But
Yeah,
she was still out there doing some Hulk shit and saving some lives and stuff like that. Like,
I
how do you feel so far with the way that like the trailers have been coming out? What do you think of the actress, of course, and then the CG, of course? What do you think about it?
I mean, at first, because I know for sure when they first released the trailer, everyone was shitting
Shitting on the
on the
CG.
CGI. Like even I was just like, this kind of looks like ass. Like I don't know, man. Let's see what happens. I mean, as it gone by a little bit more, I'm just like, all right, the show's a little bit like it's getting me more intrigued. At the same time, like, is this show really about like her being She-Hulk, or like is she kind of doing like what we've been seeing so far with Hawkeye and then with Doctor Strange, like kind of sidekicking, like like Bruce is kind of be there the whole entire time, and he's kind of just showing her the ropes, which you have seen, where he's like, "This is how you clap," his clapping, the stretching, the patience, and she's like, "I can do all this stuff like all day, basically," and he's just like, "I guess this took me forever to learn how to do," kind of deal, and I'm just like, well, I probably don't need to see Bruce this whole entire thing, but I mean, this is her introduction. This is how she's gonna be She-Hulk in the first place. I'm intrigued. I'm very much intrigued. I want to see what happens. I want to see like what the future projects look like. But I'm also wondering like how does Matt Murdock even play part in She-Hulk in the first place? I know he's a lawyer, but like
Yeah.
it seems like she's in like an LA or something. She's not in New York or New Jersey
Yeah.
or wherever it is. Matt's in. So I'm just like, all right, so we'll see what happens. So I'm intrigued. I can't wait. I mean, I really like to see how this player is gonna play out. I think she's been playing like what we've seen so far pretty well. I mean, she seems like she's really into it, who she's playing the character and the aspect. Like even like they even show like in some of the trailers, she's like, "Damn, you look good, girl," and then she's like, "I know, thanks." And she's in,
She's real confident and shit.
yeah, like I'm like, all right, cool. I guess I mean that's empowerment too, and like I guess this is the strong point of knowing that women too are can be superheroes, and we've already seen that aspect too. So it's just seeing like just the show to come out and let's for to see what happens.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't look that bad. I mean, for me, it's one of those things like any way for us to get more story of the Hulk character,
Yeah,
like it's about time. Because literally, the only time that we ever got any storytelling or anything of the Hulk that was mediocre at best was
like the part
the
one.
first Avengers movie,
Okay, yeah,
and then we got Thor Ragnarok, and then anything past that, like it's just the neutering of the character. Like it's literally just been like a complete downfall every time.
hmm
Like I said, like they've mix matched his powers. They've made it to where he's the savior of mankind because he wished everybody back, and he was the only character that possibly could. So I don't know, like to get this idea of them introducing She-Hulk, and then again, like I said, like we said before, like what an awesome time to be a comic book lover to us get these characters. Yeah, like there's a little bit of like their political stuff or their like little agendas and shit like that. But when else were we ever going to get the opportunity to get a She-Hulk film, TV show, or whatever on the edge of us getting a Fantastic Four film? because she does end up being like a substitute of Fantastic Four member for the Thing.
Yeah.
She ends up being one of the powerhouse members, which, dude, it looks fantastic. And then, of course, like you said, and then John also in the comments right now, that Daredevil looks great. He's coming out with his mustard costume, which is the yellow and red, which
The original, right?
in the comic books, like it looks good in the comics, even though it doesn't make any sense to be that bright. But in the trailer, when he pops up, people have paused it and, you know, enhanced like Blade Runner, enhanced. And they've got some pretty badass color scheming to where it looks like a very dulled gold.
Yeah.
And like a really like kind of like his suit, like his red suit in the Netflix series, but with just patches of gold and stuff in it. It looks
Kind of looking like Iron Man.
looks
to be
really
honest.
cool, man. Yeah, it looks like almost like it's like in respect of like Tony Stark Iron Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that I've noticed is that the streaming services have a really bad tendency of cameoing superheroes from other parts of the franchise for it just to bring in views. Like we all knew that at the ending of Miss Marvel, like Captain Carol Danvers was supposed to come out, right? And then they bring her out like for 5 seconds at the ending of the last episode. You know, other stuff too. Even with Thor: Love and Thunder with the Guardians of the Galaxy, like they just have these ways of using the characters in cameos. What should we expect from the She-Hulk series when it comes to the Daredevil cameo? Do you think it's going to be something that might be like a little bit extended? Maybe we get an episode maybe where it's like Matt Murdock and then Daredevil comes out.
I think if I had seen something right on like as a source that he's supposed to have like a really like leading role, not a real strong lead, but he's gonna come out in a couple of episodes.
Oh, nice.
But
Dude,
I don't know.
that's because like his series is supposed to have like fucking 11
18
episodes.
18 episodes.
God damn, it's a whole movie.
Yeah. So like even like to think too, okay, so if it's 18 episodes, and then how long is each episode going to be? Is it going to be short? Is it going to be long? Like, is it going to be basically like Netflix? Like, it's just going to be 4 or 5 minutes long? And like, that's I don't see a problem with that. But like, now what's the story going to be like for him? It's like Born Again, right? So I'm like, okay, so this should be really interesting to see. And then that's because Rosario Dawson like announced that there would be a Punisher. Punisher's coming back, and she wasn't supposed to say that. But she did. It was that C2E2, and she's like, I can't wait to see that character again, and then be that character she was in the Punisher show.
Yeah, like Night Nurse, right?
Yeah,
she's gonna be Night Nurse. Well, that's like Pat Oswalt came out and was like, "Yeah, Eternals 2 or whatever." Like, fucking Pat Oswalt. He's out there telling people, and Marvel's like, "Oh, you said it," and it's like the rest of the community's like, boo, so? Eternals 2, boo.
Oh, man.
We don't want no Eternals 2. Nobody wants that crap, dude. Nobody wants that crap. Oh man, Eternals 1 was that was rough. But yeah, I mean it's good to hear that. I mean, I was excited to hear when they said that the Punisher was coming back. I mean, even with Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox coming back as Matt Murdock in Daredevil, that is a huge win for Marvel. Huge win to be able to pull that off. Then, of course, getting Vincent D'Onofrio in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
That was an easy way to know that Daredevil was going to come back for sure. That was an easy. And then just knowing that they're coming back. The only one that I hope that they fix would be Iron Fist.
Yeah, because I think they've been hinting that even like I think Luke Cage is supposed to make a comeback. Iron Fist, Jessica Jones supposed to come back. And I'm just like, that's pretty cool. I mean, I didn't see the whole entire season of Jessica Jones. I wasn't like thrown off. I just didn't feel like, it was something that was caught my eye or to even watch.
Yeah, so they really took some liberties for their character. They put like this weird like sex scene in it, which really got me like not to watch it. Like, I don't know why, I don't know why psychologically that made me not want to watch it. Is that there was an idea that there was like a sex scene in it. And I don't know if it's because I know it's Marvel. And in my mind, it's like, yo, this is supposed to be a kid's show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's supposed to be about children. Like, kids are going to watch this because it's a story based on superheroes. And here they are showing, like, a pretty vulgar sex scene. Like, and if it's not vulgar, it's just really, really highly implied that that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a little too long for it to be in a Marvel film or a Marvel show. But I understood that it was Netflix. But at the same time, like, I don't know how they got that cleared with, like, a Kevin Feige. For him to be like, yeah, it's cool, dude. Go ahead and take Spider-Man, Sony. Have him go ahead and blow this chick, like, for like 4 hours in a film. Like, go ahead and get in it. I don't see Kevin Feige really doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was kind of awkward, and that's what really got me away. But I heard a lot of people talking about like the Purple Man, like a lot, like the show itself. Like a lot of people were telling me that the Jessica Jones show was really good. And for me, it's just I don't know, man. It's just something about it just messed me up.
Yeah.
Luke Cage, I fucking love Luke Cage, man.
It is
Sweet Christmas, man. Sweet fuck Christmas. Iron Fist needs a lot of work. The Iron Fist show is really, really messy. And the Defenders show, like for what it was worth, like seeing them come together was really good.
Yeah.
But the ending scene, like the whole entire drive of Danny Rand, like really wanting to go after the Hand, and it got really stupid. Like him, like every now and then using the Iron Fist to like punch a ninja, and then him being like, "Oh fuck, I should have done this earlier." Like, yeah, I don't know. The Iron Fist character is probably like the biggest throwaway. And you know what? As a matter of fact, something came to mind just thinking about that right now. We were talking about it earlier. The Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They're gonna do an origin story for Rocket, so I really hope that they bring in the Nova Corps. I hope they bring in Nova, and my Nova would probably be. I mean, of course, Richard Rider would probably be the Nova I'd love to see, but I wouldn't mind seeing a Sam Alexander, like the little kid variation, since they're doing the whole Young Avengers thing.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool. And he was taught by Rocket Raccoon to be a better Nova, so it's just like it's like his mentor. So that would be pretty interesting to get a Nova. At least a Nova, because we've been needing a Nova since fucking Guardians 1. Fucking God, it was the most underutilized. That's exactly what you were talking about, the Green Lantern Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's literally the Green Lantern Corps of the Marvel Universe is the Nova Corps. So, man, but going back, so from the cusp of the She-Hulk story, we see that at the ending of a trailer, a Sicarian plane shows up. We're guessing that it has to do something with Thor Ragnarok because there's no reason. But there is a lot of rumor and a lot of talk that they are planning on doing a World War Hulk storyline. Are you pretty familiar with that story or the
yes and
majority?
no? Of course, I know you can always go in detail a little bit more into it and I'll catch on.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people have seen the Planet Hulk story, which was a really, really good animated film. Marvel released it. They did take a little liberties to change some stuff. They put Beta Ray Bill where originally it was the Silver Surfer. And then we had Thor Ragnarok came out, which puts the Hulk's character as Beta Ray Bill / the Silver Surfer's character. And then you have Thor coming in, who ends up being pretty much the way the Hulk should have been in that storyline. So in that story, in the original story, the Hulk wins. He beats... In Thor Ragnarok, there's the Collector. What's up, Pam? My dude, thank you for the birthday shout out. Thank you, my guy. The Hulk in the original story ends up fighting the guy who's in charge of Sakaar. He's called the Red King, the Sakaarian King. Of course, in Thor Ragnarok, it's the Grandmaster. After he defeats, in the comic book, after he defeats the Red King, he then becomes king. It's like the movie Gladiator with fucking Joaquin Phoenix and that other dude, I can't remember his name. Zeus, right? Fucking Zeus in Thor Ragnarok or Thor Love and Thunder. He ends up becoming the king of that planet, only to see that the Quinjet that he got there in explodes, and it like kills everybody on the planet, blows up the fucking whole entire place, kills his wife, kills his unborn child, and wipes everybody out, leaving only him and his Korg and Mead and a couple of other people that are his warbound. And then he goes back and finds out that it was the ship that he was sent on. And then he's like, so the Illuminati sent me here, told me that I was going to be by myself, and that failed. But the ship they sent me on was sent to explode. He killed everybody. So now I'm going to bring that to them. And that's what makes the Hulk come back to planet Earth. Earth. You hear me say Earth? God damn it. Earth. He comes back to planet Earth and then declares war on the planet, stating that if they do not bring him the Illuminati, which is, of course, the real Illuminati from the comics, not the weird-ass one in Doctor Strange, that if they don't bring him, then he's going to start the planet. Like, he's just going to kill everybody. So then, it turns into the basic comic book. You know, the Hulk starts showing up at everybody's front door. Of course, Iron Man shows up in a Hulkbuster outfit, and the Hulk just slaps it off. You know what I mean? Captures Tony Stark. Shows up to Reed Richards, does the same thing. Shows up to Doctor Strange, does the same thing. The only one that doesn't get it as bad is Charles Xavier, because Charles Xavier, of course, is in a wheelchair. And the Hulk shows up, and he's like, look, I know you weren't at the meeting, but if you were there, would you have sent me to that fucking planet? And it's really funny because I recommend it to everybody to read this part because it's hilarious because it's like a Power Rangers. It's like a really funny Power Rangers episode. The Hulk shows up and he knocks on the door. When he knocks on the door, the Beast opens the door and you just see it like the Hulk's abs. Like it's just his abs in the doorway of Charles Xavier's mansion. And Hank McCoy comes out and he goes, "Oh, Hulk, it's good to see you. Let's talk." And he's like, "I'm not here to talk, dude. I'm here to pick up Charles, if you don't mind." And he's like, no, well, let's talk this out, man, because it's not gonna go like that. We want to help you. We want to give you what you want, but you can't take Charles. And he's like, well, that's a funny thing because I'm gonna decide that, not you. And then you have fucking Cyclops show up and the original X-Men show up and they're like, "Ha, we're gonna stop you."
No.
Hulk looks at him and goes, you're all fucking kidding me, right? You're not gonna stop me. And they all just start trying to fight him and he just starts pimp slapping everybody. And then like Wolverine shows up and he's like, "Hey Bob, like we've done this dance before, you know how it's gonna go, and the Hulk's like, I've always wondered if you like a boxer, dude." And he grabs him and puts him on the ground and punches him into a concussion. And with his brain not working properly, it doesn't allow his healing factor to work fast.
Gotcha.
Because he just outsmarts him, and then he's like, whoop, like just throws him away. And then all of a sudden the Juggernaut's like, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch," and he starts running at him, and the Hulk's like Toro and just lets him run down, and he just like hits him and he flies like another con. It's the best rendition of like the Hulk versus the X-Men you'll ever see.
It's wild.
And then of course, like then the fucking B squad of the X-Men shows up and they're like, "We're gonna stop you," and he's like, "Dude, like stop already, goddamn it!" Like, and the little kids show up, and then all of a sudden Charles Xavier shows up and he's like, "Everybody stop, please! Like it's the Hulk. Like you guys aren't gonna do shit. Like stop." And Cyclops is like, "No, we almost got him," and he's like, "No, you don't got shit. You don't got shit. Stop." And he's like, "Banner, let's talk," or whatever. And they end up walking to like this back part of the school. He ends up asking him like, "Hey man, like Hulk's like, dude, if you were there, would you have done that shit to me?" And he's like, "No, I wouldn't have because I know what it's like to lose." And he's there at the cemetery, and it's after the House of M series, so it has all the 100 million people that have died of the blip, the mutant blip, right?
Yeah.
And then the Hulk's kind of like, fuck you, I'll leave you here because you're just too depressed to care or whatever. You're like, you want to die or whatever. I don't want to take you if you want to die. You're not fun. And then he captures the entire Illuminati minus the Black Panther. I don't think he captured Black Panther. And he puts them all in a Coliseum in like the middle of New York, like the Big Apple, like the Coliseum they used to do like the fights in Manhattan or whatever.
Yeah.
And he just has these dudes fighting it out like the way he was on the planet Sakaar. And he's sitting on a throne and like it's like Tony Stark and Reed Richards, and they're like no powers. They're just fighting each other. They got the little thing and they're just manning it out, dude, just decking it out on each other. And then he finally gets it to where like I think Iron Man has like a spear to Reed's like chest, and Reed Richards is on the ground, and the Hulk stands up and he's like, "You choose," and the crowd's like, "Fucking kill him!" Yeah, fucking kill him. The crowd's going nuts. The crowd's going nuts. And he's like, he just stands up and he just says something in the curse of like, "You see, you're all wrong because you're the savages."
Yeah.
Like, and then all of a sudden, like the Sentry shows up and they start fucking banging it out, like the Superman of the Marvel universe. It's a fantastic fucking story. Like I tell people all the time, if there's a couple of stories I would recommend to anyone, it would literally be, of course, the Infinity Gauntlet. It would have to be like Fear Itself and Siege, but above those, World War Hulk and Planet Hulk, and Thor: God of Thunder, like the Gore the God Butcher story. I think they're masterpieces in the Marvel universe. So recently, not too long ago, and a couple months ago, they said they were interested in doing a World War Hulk story. Now, after this, seeing that we see a video of SheHulk and in the story, and then a Sicarian ship, like it kind of coincides with the idea of them wanting to return back to the Sakaar with Thor, or not with Thor, but with the Hulk and all this other stuff. How do you take with what you've done to the Hulk character and make him hate humanity. Because that's his whole rivalry, is that when he's on Sakaar and he has his wife and he has, which Valkyrie already took that role because she played the exact role written in as the way the wife was. She was the guardian of the king. You have the Grand Master who still sits on the throne over there because they had their revolution. Hey, everybody, revolution. And they made it into a big joke or whatever. There is no Red King, so there's no tyrant for the Hulk to go back to and have to stop, unless they're going to say like, oh, well, after the Grand Master failed, we got this guy called the Red King.
Yeah.
So, okay. They can probably do something because they left it pretty open-ended and the Grandmaster had like no power. But my biggest thing is like, okay, cool. You take Hulk off planet. He already showed up in fucking Captain Marvel. He was in all this other stuff trying to help Carol Danvers. He's literally like the only original Avenger there that still kind of like knows what's going on. But how do you make him a villain when he saved all of humanity? Like if it was, that's been my biggest thing is like, if the Hulk literally was written into this thing where like he just turned into Dr. Hulk or whatever they wanted to call him. But he literally was the only person that could wish everybody back. You made him the hero. You made him the ultimate hero to everybody that was blipped out of the planet. Thor couldn't do it because he was like a drunk stupor. They had no one else. Captain couldn't do it. Tony Stark couldn't do it. He was going to die. He was the one that originally brought everyone back and did not die from it.
Yeah.
Tony Stark died wishing Thanos away and his entire army. He didn't die bringing humanity back. So how do you turn him into a villain? How do you turn him into a bad guy? Like, he's not destroying anything. What's been, okay, even better. What's been the worst thing the Hulk has ever done to the planet that the human people fear him? Shit, that goes out to anybody in the comment section too, man. Like, I just want to know, like, what, in the sense of out of controlness, has the Hulk done that humanity does not, they fear him?
Yeah.
Because literally, kids literally took pictures with him while he was eating eggs at a restaurant, like just to, before all the madness happened. Yeah, like that's the thing in the comic books. Like, he's written so well that he's like this. You don't really know what he's capable of doing because he's wild, like a wild beast. They send him off planet because they just can't. He destroyed a part of Manhattan because, literally in the comic books, because Betty went on a date with Freddie Prinze Jr. and the Hulk part of him got mad. Then he fucking killed like 15,000 people.
Shit.
I mean, the only thing that I could kind of consider that he did bad was when Wanda got in his brain in Age of Ultron and he like took that building down. Because for me, when I saw that, it was kind of like very reminiscent to like, what if this is that part of the world's like 9/11?
Yeah.
Because they took the building down, it collapsed the same way, and you see like the fallout from all the concrete and all the debris going through the streets, kind of like the way it was during the 9/11 situation in New York. Like, what if this was their variation of that? But it's been so far-fetched that the Hulk's done cooler shit now. Like,
that's like a forgotten thought.
Yeah, it's like that variation of the Hulk. Like, if they would have maintained the story from like the Avengers, where the Hulk was like jumping out of the helicarrier, doing some crazy shit where like he stops like the big alien boat flying monsters, but like while it's dead, he's still punching it, and people are like, hey, "This guy's a fucking freak, dude!" Like, I mean, I would see that being a little bit better.
Yeah,
but they've totally humanized the idea of this character to be almost like a fucking superhero fan favorite, where kids are wearing shirts and they're getting it autographed by the Hulk. You know what I mean? Like, so. I don't know. That's
direction. I don't know, unless something really drastic comes with the She-Hulk, but it's really out the window. I mean, as far as like, this is more of a mentor kind of deal, but don't see it happening unless something really drastic happens, which I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, like for me, there's no way that from a streaming series, they're gonna be like, hey, from the streaming series, let's make World War Hulk.
Yeah,
because the way I'm talking about it, like being that you're hearing about it in this nature, like that sounds like a pretty big fucking ordeal. Like for the Hulk to come back to Earth and be like, "Yo, I wiped out every character of the Illuminati. Literally, Black Bolt. I beat the shit out of them on the moon. You know, I come and I fight Iron Man. I go and I tank Doctor Strange. I come and I beat Reed Richards. Like he beats them all. Namor, you name it, he beats everybody. And then at the very end, he gets in a fist fight with Marvel's Superman. Like, and I'm talking about the crazy part about it is this Superman character has a secondary personality called the Void. And it's his other half that's completely evil. Like fucking like, and it can cosmically kill everything in the universe. Yeah, and it lives inside this. Like the Sentry literally like holds it down, and that's why him and the Hulk are pretty good friends. Because they both have that demon inside of them. And they both get in a fist fight in the middle of Manhattan. To where the Hulk gets so mad and he's so radiated that he like stumbles back a step while he's super mad, and it causes an earthquake that rumbles like the entire West Coast. Like a footstep, like him just like losing balance and putting his foot down causes an earthquake across the Western Hemisphere. Like he's that irradiated with like anger. And then and then Disney's going to come out and be like, "Come watch this streaming episode of World War Hulk." It's not going to be a movie. Yeah. It's not going to be a movie. It's going to be a streaming episode of World War Hulk. And I'm like, I can't, dude. I cannot. Taika Waititi took the Jane Foster story, and it made it way harder for me to explain it to my friends that it's a great comic book story. And then they're like, "Dude, but the movie sucked." Like, you know what I mean? It's like, no, you got to read the book. No one's going to read the book, dude. They want to see it in live action, man. Let's see it in live action. And now they're going to do the same thing. They're going to take World War Hulk, and I don't know, man. I kind of feel like we're getting to this part where Marvel's going to start making its mistakes. I really feel like we are.
I think it's just time will tell. But I mean, like even I mentioned before when we were at the expo, I'm like, how are they introduce? They're introducing Fantastic Four. They're going to introduce Doctor Doom, but then we have Secret Wars, and I've heard this where like how can Secret Wars happen where we're barely getting these introduction of these characters, where they're a big part of Secret Wars, where Doctor Doom is eventually taking over everything. He's like the king of the world, basically. So how are we barely getting this when if this is supposed to happen, then this should have happened when it came to Fantastic Four and like being Doctor Doom itself back then. Like, you know, maybe like 4 or 5 years, maybe the most. That way it's a good plan for Secret Invasion to happen. Secret Invasion, Secret Wars. Kind of deal. So
no, I mean, that's even a crazier discussion, Secret Wars, because like it's like you said, like Doctor Doom was already a well-established character, and it's really weird because there's a lot of people out there that are like I call them normies, like people who don't read comics, but they're just like, yeah, you fuck yeah, Doctor Doom's coming. They don't really know anything about him, but they're just like, yeah, dude, fuck yeah, and it's like, hey man, I'm excited just as you are, but like there needs to be some kind of Liverian backstory, you know, like, you know, give him some. I really hope that they bring him out in Black Panther 2. There are talks that he's supposed to be in it. He's supposed to be setting up the whole like ordeal that's been going on to get the Atlanteans, the Mayan Atlanteans, to fight the Wakandans, so that he's kind of like in there. So that'll be pretty good for him to be introduced that way. But like they don't even have like I hope that the first villain they introduce in the Fantastic Four is like the Molecule Man. Because if they at least introduce him, they can introduce the Beyonder and Owen Reese, and then Secret Wars is established. But like the road to the end to Battle World, Secret World, like it is a pretty epic fucking story with Doctor Strange, Reed Richards, Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, and Owen Reese, like going through like multiverse after multiverse, like taking out different Owen Reeses and collecting them and turning them into bonds and then siphoning them into powers. Like it's a wild fucking story to just be like, hey, we're gonna make this into a movie. Like fuck that. I mean, that's presumptuous to be able to be like, yeah, we're gonna do this. I mean, I guess it would be like that would be like the story to be the next like Infinity Endgame, because it's really big with how many characters are in it and how many different variations and stuff. So I can see, but again, it's like they're probably going to be mending in the '80s Secret War and the new Secret War, like into something. So we'll see how it goes. I know that from what I heard, that the way they want to write it out, or the way that they're theorizing it, is that Kang is going to be sitting at the seat of the Beyonder,
Okay.
and he's going to be the one that's like, well, I come from the 31st century, so if you're able to win, I can literally give you anything you want because I'm from the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, that kind of works. Like, you don't have to introduce like this dude that's like omni powerful as the Beyonder, because it's already crazy as fuck already.
Yeah.
Man. But man, dude, I'm still tripping out on fucking World War Hulk, man. I can't even think that far ahead. But then again, it's like the biggest problem and my biggest concern is like what parts were like America Chavez or Miss Marvel or Kate Bishop's Hawkeye, what parts were they in Battle World Secret Wars? Like in the new Secret Wars, like what part did they fill?
Yeah.
Like they're not even written in a story because their characters are so minute compared to the original Avengers that have been there throughout all the years. Captain America's got a story, fucking Iron Man's got a story, T'Challa, Black Panther's got a story. We're still having to find a way for them to see what they're going to do for that storyline. Because of course we have Black Panther 2 that's coming out. The trailer did an amazing job. It looks fan-fucking-tastic. You know, it's going to save Phase 4 from the mess that Phase 4 has been. Like, I'm super excited for that movie. It looks fantastic. It looked like Kevin Feige was like, hey, you can Phase 4 can fuck any, I don't give a shit what you do with any of the characters, but Black Panther, you don't mess with.
Yeah.
Like that needs to be like Avatar. Like it needs to be super clean and pristine. Like don't mess with it. And yeah, like I wouldn't let Taika Waititi touch Black Panther 2, the movie. I wouldn't even let him close to it. I wouldn't even let him go to the theater. He can stay home. Keep his ass at home.
Read the Twitter feed of how the movie's going.
Yeah, let him watch fucking, I don't know, some other fucking review. Tell him to watch our show and come and just watch our show.
Hey guys, how's it going?
but straight, like the Black Panther 2, like T'Challa plays a huge role in that story when the original Doctor Strange leaves him the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah. And he goes to fight Doom and he puts it on him. And then even at the very end of the story, when he like steals the time stone and then it resets after Reed Richards fixed the timeline and the incursion, but T'Challa, being the fucking G that he is, you know, kept the time stone and was able to remember everything that happened in Battleworld. Like was able to remember all of it. You know what I mean? That's so cool. Yeah. Like he's written in such a great way, man. So the passing of Chadwick Boseman really left a really big gap on how they're going to fix that. I know that the talks are for Shuri or the girlfriend Nakia to be the Black Panther, and that does play a role. It does play a role in the comic books also, but only for the Return of the King of the Dead, which is when T'Challa comes back from Necropolis, which is the land of the dead. It plays a whole story too, man. So I don't know. The Marvel Universe is starting to get to a point where it's getting very confusing. And they're trying to stay with the same blueprint that they've been running with. And I don't know if it's going to keep working. Yeah. And I don't think cameos are going to be saving all their streams. You know what I mean? So yeah, that is what it is. Got one more thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Yeah. You know, we can call it up soon. Did you get to see Prey yet?
I mean, I saw it. I liked it a lot. There were some holes where I was just like, yeah, okay, I guess. But honestly, I like the movie. It wasn't bad. I mean, of course, it's been viewed more than anything else on any other streaming platform, apparently, that praised like Hulu's top thing. And I'm not going to be here and say the movie sucked. It did really well to me. Of course, like I mentioned, some holes to it, but I think the movie from start to end was solid to me.
So give us a breakdown. What's the movie Prey about?
So basically, it's like the prehistoric period when it comes to predators. And this was basically set, you know, when people were like Indians, like this is the Native Americans. And this seemed like there was some aspect of the Europeans coming in, but this was basically just a like overall hunting. Like when what I got from the whole entire movie was just basically a hunt, like a hunter the gatherers, but there's this girl that wants to be basically part of the hunting group, and I thought that was pretty awesome of knowing that okay, someone different, someone doesn't want to be a gatherer, they want to be a hunter and know the aspects, and end up being whatever they want to be. They do whatever they want, but of course she throughout the movie that we see is just like under her understanding her being a hunter and knowing that okay, well, I mean, I'm still learning. You see that through the whole entire movie. She's still learning how to be a hunter, but as you see, like it's just understanding. I wanted to be this, and this is how she ends up being at the very end of the movie. And of course, we just get the aspect of Predator himself, and we get this whole entire aspect of just like the prehistoric Predator looking. He's not the one that we've been seeing throughout this whole entire time. And I thought that was pretty great. The gadgets still, I think the gadgets were a little, still modern to him. The only thing that's different was just how he looks. So I thought it was like a solid, a worth watching. I would have gone to the theater to watch this movie for sure.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I got to see it too. Yes, of course, a lot of people are complaining that it's a female lead role.
Yeah.
I do understand with what it is they're talking about, but she didn't really come off as she was written to be like this Mary Sue character. There was really never anything that was so like, she wasn't doing like backflips off of like tall trees and landing on her feet and then sliding 20 feet. No, it was very like, she was just going with the flow.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel too unnatural to go with the flow. Like a lot of the times since she was in certain positions, like for her to take the initiative to go on the hunt by herself and go out there, like I could see that being like a rebellious act to be like, well, I saw something and I'm going with what I believe in. So if you don't want to follow me, I'm going to go do it by myself.
Yeah.
So since no one else had the opportunity to witness what she saw, it was very hard for them to comprehend like, oh, we believe you because lightning comes from trees. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure. Yeah, we got it. They automatically wanted to chalk it up for, well, it's just probably a lion.
Yeah.
Right. And that's understandable because during that time, there are no airplanes, there are no types of electronics, there are no nothing like there's nothing that's electronically driven or fire, throttle, gas or anything. So everything in that nature would be very alien, very like, what do you mean lightning and trees? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's going to be something that they're just like, you're smoking something. You've eaten something that made your stomach hurt and you're seeing things like you're just being a child or making things up. It's not even that because they don't have like anything to go off of like storytelling imagination wise, except for like they do have their like the gods that they worship or whatever. Right.
Yeah. Cause they did mention something like the gods in the skies are like raining, like the thunder is happening. And that's cause it's like the brightest day. And so it's like, there's something in the clouds that's, telling us something kind of deal.
So they do still have that spirituality essence to it, which is very good. But she has kind of like the one up on everybody because she was actually able to witness something weird that happened, which was when they go on the hunt for the lion and she gets one of the dudes gets fucking railed right out of the tree. The fucking lion just automatically grabs that dude and just fucking eats him. Which right after that, the lion then turns around to eat her. To me, that was a little bit weird because I think naturally lions, when they do shit like that, like they don't really attack a second prey. They literally just guard what they've killed because they're gonna eat it. They don't kill for the hunt. They kill to eat. So there would have been no reason for it to be like, let me chase this girl too, like the Jungle Book or whatever. But but she ends up being like cornered by it on a tree limb, and then the tree limb breaks. But right before that, she sees something in the distance. And that's when she's like, no, I saw something. Like I saw something and I need to go check it out. And everyone's like, nah, you're crazy. You bumped your head or whatever. Like there was a lot of stuff that's written in that just, like you said, they're just little gaps in the story, but it wasn't enough for me to really be like shoo, this movie sucks. Shoo. There was enough of that. Like, and then again too, like I didn't feel like there was Mary Sue moments. The only time I thought was a Mary Sue moment was the Mortal Kombat scene. And the reason why I call it the Mortal Kombat scene is because everybody gets it, which is she ties a rope to an axe and then she starts throwing it around like Scorpion. And that's the only thing I think that was a Mary Sue, because you would assume that axes had been around for fucking hundreds of years before that, probably because they're making them themselves and they can make up on the go. You would have assumed that they had tried to put ropes on that shit before and they realized that shit don't work. You know what I mean? They would have been like, that's not a good idea. But apparently she figured it out, and then after that, like no one ever put an axe on a rope.
Yeah.
Because I like axes. I have one that I've made myself. I like axes. I've seen people work with wood all day. I've never seen a dude tie a rope to an axe. I've never seen Walmart sell an axe with a rope on it. So in the idea of engineering, that's a bad engineering choice. Like that's just straight. That's like putting wheels on a fucking boat. Like you don't need wheels on a boat. You know what I mean? You put it on the trailer to carry the boat, but you don't need it on the boat. So yeah, that was the only thing that was kind of like, well, that's all right. But then even with that process, like that axe that's like got a rope on it, it doesn't do shit. She uses that grappling hook. She just uses it to get her out of fucking
I know.
quicksand later. It's not even a weapon of choice or anything.
She's trying to kill some rabbits and it didn't work out. She's like, I gotta get this. And like I really gotta, be the hunter I'm supposed to be and kind of deal. And it just ends up using that to get out of the quicksand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she just uses that to get out. It's just a grappling hook. A grappling hook. That's a genius fucking invention. Yeah. So like, yeah, she kickstarted the okay, I know who invented the grappling hook. Batman's gonna be so happy. John says, if you remember in Predator 2, the Predator, the king or leader, hands the cop a pistol from the 400s. And in the Predator 1, the girl shares the story. And in the Alien versus Predator, yeah, it's the same pistol, right?
I need to watch that. I need to rewatch it, man.
Because that's the thing. Like she looks at the pistol that she gets in the story, the Flint pistol, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally the same Flint pistol that Daniel Glover gets in Predator 2.
No shit.
So it's the same one, same writing and everything. The Predator leader gives it to her. Okay. But that then recommends that the Predators went back and wiped that whole fucking Indian tribe out. Took the pistol with them, and they were like, this would be a good gift one day.
A good trophy.
Yeah, this would be a great trophy. This shit killed the last dude we said. We got to wipe this chick off the map. So, like, again, this movie wasn't too bad. And I do like that the company that made this film respected the people of their Native American culture and made a rendition to where they're actually speaking in Comanche. Like you can actually choose the dialogue of Comanche to watch the movie in.
Yeah.
And the characters are actually speaking Comanche. I totally think that's so cool. And at the same time, I like that they kind of dumbed it down a little bit for us because I don't speak Comanche. I don't know what the fuck Comanche sounds like. And I'm not about to be like, oh my God, they're speaking Comanche. I love it. Like if I think I know some shit, like I know there's people that do. And I respect you, and I think you're fucking amazing because that's awesome to know a Native American language. But I don't know a Native American language. And in that part, there is a European guy that goes up to her and speaks in English. And she's like, oh, you speak Comanche too? So like you automatically assume that the actors did us a solid. And instead of everybody speaking in some weird ass language that we cannot understand, they did it in English too, like just to be proper and to be nice to us and stuff. And I totally respect that. And I'm totally honored that they were able to do that. And I am going to go back and I'm going to, I would not even spend the time to watch the Batman movie twice. And I'm going to watch Prey a second time just to see it in Comanche, just to see it in their natural culture, to be respectful to them because they did it in English for me. And I would totally respect them to do it, to watch it in their native tongue as a respect to them. It was a good movie. I understand where people are upset because a girl is winning. And I get it. Yeah, but if a movie hurts your feelings, you're a pretty weak man.
Yeah.
Like you're a pretty weak man.
How much of your pride are you gonna put just because of a girl? Like really?
Like I get it. I get it. I get these dudes are like, yo, man, there's a bunch of chicks being like fucking hardcore and chick can't do that in real life. And it's like, dude, I get it, man. I get it. I feel for you. But dude, it's just a movie, fictional characters, like the way Carlos Mencia said once. Like it's not gonna do anything. The movie's gonna come out just like if it was a Marvel movie that you hated or a DC movie you hated. It's gonna make millions. You're gonna sit at home and complain, or you're gonna be like us on a podcast and say it sucked. Your opinion matters, and I totally like that you have an opinion and you like it or you don't like it. But that's as far as that's gonna go. Like it's like the other day I was talking to Brian on the podcast and we were like, yo, man, I spent so much time watching people react to like the Black Panther trailer because I cried on one part and then I saw reactions to see if anybody else cried. Because psychologically, I wanted to see if my tears were valid because other people cried when I cried. I don't know what it was. I don't know what the fuck it was. It was just nice. It was nice to see that there's like a hive mind of us that all thought that was like a touching enough part.
Yeah.
And I get it. But it's just for our entertainment. Like, if it's not entertaining and you don't like it and you don't like that vibe, don't watch it. Don't subjugate yourself to that situation. Just don't like it. I don't eat corn, so I don't buy things with corn in it. Right? I mean, that's kind of like the way it goes. Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to think outside the box here, but like, I can't think of anything else. Cause I mean, yeah, like I'm not like a really big, like I mean, I teach mixed martial arts for a fucking living. I know what the idea of a person that's a male and a female can do in a combative situation against each other. I could see the disadvantages and the advantages of both genders. But if you put fucking, I don't know, Scarlett Johansson in a Black Widow outfit and have her jump over an 18-wheeler, I'm not going to say, no, that's not real. She can't do that. I'm going to be like, dude, it's just a fucking movie. Like, if you're complaining that a girl cannot fight a predator, but you're telling me you're defending the idea of anything fighting a predator when a predator is not even fucking real, like, your conversation is pretty much ignorant to begin with. Like, it's not a real thing. You can write it however the fuck you want. Like, dude, we had Sigourney Weaver back in the 80s fucking shooting aliens in space. Like, you know what I mean? Like, with a flamethrower.
Yeah.
She was in a compressed area in space with a flamethrower. You cannot have anything flammable in a compressed place because it would explode. It would fucking explode. Like, but heaven forbid Sigourney Weaver fucking kill an alien with a fucking flamethrower in space.
Yeah, right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like if you start breaking down the idea of what gets people mad nowadays, it starts to get real dumb.
Yeah.
It starts to get real dumb. Like, I like the Hulk character, and for them to change the She-Hulk to where Bruce Banner doesn't change into the Hulk when it's never explained that he doesn't, and now his female counterpart saves him and then becomes a Hulk, and then she's a stronger Hulk than him. I don't give a shit, dude. Like I've already read 1,000 years of comics. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Marvel will feel it in their pockets, dude. Like,
yeah,
you know, and we can complain about it all day. It just makes for better content, man. When it sucks, and I'll say it sucks. Like, I love to say it sucks. I'm a big jaded person, man. Like, that's what everybody knows me for, is being super negative. But yeah, going back to the idea, the Prey movie was not a bad movie. There was some parts that were like, dude, that's kind of silly. Like, that's kind of silly, but it made for a pretty fun action film. Like, it really brought me back to that old age, like just watching a movie just to see some fucking shit. Just, dude, it was gory as fuck. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like they could have been gorier, man. Like, I
really?
feel like some scenes were like kind of like, you know, straight away, like, you can't see this kind of deal. I'm like, bro, I want to see that, dude. I want to see this dude. I want to see like the wire, the net go through the guy, and then the tree.
Oh,
like, kind of
the
deal.
fucking net scene. The net scene when it fucking crushes the dude. Dude, as a matter of fact, the scene that's like an aerial shot of them running through the high grass.
Okay.
And it catches up to the dude and he just like splatters. Like, he just splatters. I was like, oh, everyone's fucking dead, dude. Like, there's no way. There's no way. This guy just punched a fucking bear in the mouth. Like, what are you talking about, my guy? Like, this, what are you even telling me this chick's gonna win this fight? Like,
and that's what my thoughts too. Like, when they announced it, I'm like, how are you supposed to go against a predator? Like, come on, like, really? You're gonna go up against him with bows and arrows? This dude has freaking like a plasma blaster, and then all of a sudden we see in the movie already. Of course, he has like his gun, but now it's an arrow where he just points and shoots. That kind of deal. I'm like, he still had that like kind of.
Yeah, he still had some cool shit going on. He even had like the cool ass like wrist popper wrist thing that he's like, I don't even know why he used that shit. I told you like earlier off camera that he's like, dude, why do you even use that? He just jumped through some trees. He probably could have just like ran and punched everybody in the dick and they would have just exploded. Like, this guy was just so strong. He's so strong.
I mean,
But
he
I
even
do
broke his
like
arm with it. I'm like,
I do like the evolutionary traits that they gave the Predator, where it's like he's not as advanced as the older movie was.
yeah,
And of course, the Manhattan, the Predator 2, he doesn't have the equipment isn't as advanced as all that stuff. Like you look at the shield that he has, like it's very like just like a Roman gladiator, like it just opens up, but it's it could take some shots. He doesn't have a lot of body armor. He's very exposed. A lot of his armor is like based on bones from other creatures. Even his helmet is based on the bone of another creature. They did like kind of like a cool redesign of like the alien's face,
yeah.
which looked pretty good. It looked, I mean, overall it looked pretty good. I mean, it falls in place. All I know is this movie was pretty solid compared to the last couple of movies of Predators we got. I was actually a really good fan and a big fan of the Predators movie, but I think this one was handled better with the characters. But the cinematography in some of the other one was a little bit better to me in the Predator movie, which was like you had that samurai scene with the guy in the thing. Like there was a lot of parts. I think the only time that we got some like a really good scene was like when the brother dies. In this one, when the brother dies in this one, like he turns around and he goes, "This is as far as I go," and then you see him get like fucking stabbed or whatever happens to him. Like that was heart wrenching. Like that was like fuck, and they gave him like a really cool like warrior send off. Like the other dudes, the Predator fucking wailed on, dude. Like they fucking died so bad, dude. They died so horribly, man. Like I was like, but the brother at least got like a cool send off, and yeah. It was overall. I think the Predator movie was pretty good. I'd give it at least like a solid 7 out of 10, like a 7.5, 8. Like I kind of feel like I know that a lot of people right now are saying they want to get like a feudal Japan. I think that would be really cool, but I don't want to go feudal Japan because the thing is, I think it should be saved. I think that would be like the Native American scene is very much like feudal Japan. Mm-hmm. I would actually like to see a Morai, like Samoan, like on the beaches, tribal, like with the axes and all that stuff. If not, I would like to see like a Mayan Aztec take on it, like a Apocalypta.
That would be like a nice little Easter egg from like from what we saw from AVP, where they show up, and they're just like standing on top of the pyramids. I think that'd be really dope to see.
Yeah, that would those would probably be mine. Like I would probably be in that two natures, but yeah. Overall, Jeremy, what did you think? What would you rate this movie?
Out of 10, I'd probably give this movie like a solid, like a 7.9, maybe like an 8.1 more or something around there. I'd give it a watch. I would would love to watch it in theater, IMAX, Dolby, whatever it is. I think that would have been really dope to see and like feel all the vibrating and action, all that stuff like that.
Yeah, Brian has a really good point in always saying that, where he's like, there's some movies that belong on stream and there's some stream movies that should have been in a theater. And I feel like this one could have made it in theater. For sure. I feel like it's a great reintroduction to the Predator franchise, and I can't wait to see what they're going to come up with next. Jeremy, is there anything else that you're looking forward to in upcoming news for Nerd News?
Oh man, honestly, as much as like I really know Ezra Miller is kind of trash right now, I really want to know if we're gonna get the Flash or not. I feel like it's been just pushed so far along already. We've seen so many scenes. We've seen little snippets of what like to come, and I'm just like, this is pretty dope. Like, what are we gonna get? When are we gonna get it? But now, this past couple of months, Ezra Miller's just been like a whole entire. He got arrested, but then now he's at home chilling with his mom and his sister. Like, just
guy's a menace, dude. Just a straight up Dennis the Menace, dude. Yeah, I really don't know where this puts DC in the universe, and I don't know where it puts the Flash movie. I know that from what I read today, just touching base on it real quick, that he had been doing some pickup shots for the Flash movie in the last couple of months. So even during all this madness, like he'd still been going into WB and still like filming shit. They didn't just fire his ass and be like, yo, dude, you're like a groomer, pedophile, crazy person. They were like, hey, can you come in from 5 to 7 today? Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'll fit you in the schedule of me like calling out the KKK and being wanted by the FBI. I can fit you in there, Warner Brothers. Yeah. But Jeremy, I want to say thank you for jumping on the show, man. I really appreciate that you came on here, man. You had some great insight, great talking points. You did fantastic. Dude, Jeremy, where can the guys find you and your collectors and all that stuff? Where can we find you online?
The Sauce Jeremy on Instagram, and then of course on Facebook, Jeremy Puente. But that's more of like my family base. But hit me up on Instagram, guys. Artwork, of course, anything. I really do commissions, so whenever you guys feel like you need some work done, cartoons, maybe portraits of your dog. hit me up.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey guys, don't forget you also see Jeremy at cons, man. I see him all the time at conventions. And that's not to mention also this next weekend, or actually on the 14th.
Yeah.
If you're in the Edinburgh area, we do have Vendors Night coming to the Collector again. And we have UCX coming up in September. And of course, anime Fiesta coming up. So a lot of cool events coming up, guys. Don't forget this weekend, Sunday, Vendors Night, the Collectors off of Trenton and Edinburgh next to Walmart. If you guys are interested, we're going to be out there. So guys, we'll see you again. Thank you guys for coming in and joining us today on this Friday night on my birthday. What a great day it was. I want to appreciate every one of you. And I want to say thank you to all our extraordinary listeners, guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys again next Friday here on the show. Peace.